I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus, I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus, I was evil.
Alright, well, I guess it's a good place to say this is the 15th episode of
Reckless Musecast.
the Reckless Musecast. I'm Ben D'Alesso here in sunny Los Angeles with my co-host
Joe Garza. And
we're here with
a couple of comedians.
so second time
Yes.
returning guest. Not our first returning guest,
Friend
our
of the
second
cast.
returning guest.
No.
Friend of the cast and the pod, Vinnie Falcone and Pat Colicchio.
Oh.
Comedians living in Jersey Boys relocated to Southern California.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
Hey, I like it.
So you guys are comedians, but you're also aspiring like comedy writers, actors, and
Anything that'll make me
filmmakers.
money. Anything that'll let me stop being a caddy.
Yeah.
I aspire to that.
No, and I don't say
Any job right up to pour drinks or carry golf bags.
and I don't say that because what I've been saying recently is that and you guys because Joe's from California. He's from Northern California. We're still from California. We're all from like literally the same area of New Jersey.
Yeah.
To me, what I've always said is Southern California plays a role in the American imagination, no matter where you're from. I grew up wanting to be out of Rocket. I thought I would live in either Southern California or a place like Southern California where I could go to the beach every day. I could skateboard and surf. I've done none of those things in my life.
You thought your whole life was going to be like a Capri Sun commercial.
Yes, exactly. As a kid, that's what I want. I want to live in Hawaii, Southern California, Florida, something like that. So, did you guys, and we've come from the same area, did you like grow up wanting to come to Southern California, or did it hit later?
So for me, it was graduated college 2014. I was doing stand-up in New York for like a year and a half.
Right.
And I was to the point where like all my friends had their careers living in Manhattan, and I would like go into the city every weekend. I would do stand-up. I would party it with them. And they got to a point where I was like, oh my god, like, everyone's like off doing their own thing. There'd be like several weekends where I'd go into the city and everyone would bail, and I'd be like by myself.
Really?
And I would do a set, and then I'd get on the train. I'm like, what the fuck am I still doing here? Like, why don't I just do this, but just somewhere where maybe it's a little more like condensed and saturated, and it's like a cooler place. And I'm like, well, I really got into stand-up originally to get into acting.
Sure.
And then, I mean, now I love stand-up, but I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, then I might as well just do stand-up and also be around acting in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And luckily I had some guys that wanted to move with me, which made it easier, some buddies from college.
Yeah,
And then we drove out in May of 2015.
Right. So we hadn't seen each other since before that. Then.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and I went to law school
Yeah.
in fall 2015.
Yeah. So it was
So,
never
yeah.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
have this dream of living in Los Angeles. I never even fucking thought about it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, me either.
But like Southern California didn't play like to me it just like played a role in our culture, like in our imagination.
It for sure does.
As like Northeasterners, like New York does too, and
Yeah.
so do lots of places. But I just think like it's a very special place.
Mm-hmm.
You do imagine you're gonna come out here and just like walk out of your apartment and onto the beach.
Yeah.
See fucking like blonde chicks with big tits wearing little t-shirts.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Dude, I've lived out here for 6 years, and there's been countless, I mean dozens, moments where it's like, could this be it? Could this be my break? I was in LA for 2 weeks. There was an open casting where I went to this audition, and it was for speaking background roles. And everyone's in this waiting. It's like, you know, the ideal picture, like Entourage, kind of like
Yeah.
everyone's in the audition room, like tip of the tongue, teeth, and lips. You're a bitch,
Yeah.
you know. And we're waiting, and I go into this like you know, classic fucking like older lady casting director, like doesn't even look up. All right, and read the line, and I do the thing, and she goes, all right, that was very good. You will definitely be hearing from me. And I'm like, oh great.
No.
Call my mom. I'm like, this lady fucking loved me.
I made it.
No.
Went back the
I
next
made it,
week,
Ma.
dropped my headshots off.
Yeah.
Like she just did the casting for the movie The Other Girl or whatever, or the movie with that big tit model, and the guys banging all of them. Kate, she was dating Verlander.
Kate Upton? She was
Kate
in a
Upton.
movie?
Kate Upton.
Yeah.
She's in a movie.
It was like her and two other girls. I think like Leslie Mann and somebody else. And it's like one guy's like playing all of them. Anyway, this like company.
Oh wait. John Tucker Must Die?
No.
That
No,
was like
that's not even-
2007.
Not even
Yeah.
close.
We were in like high school.
Also,
Yeah.
Kate Upton's not in that.
Yeah. I forget what it was. But
Oh,
anyway,
I was way off.
This
Great
com-
movie, though.
like,
I
this
do love that movie.
This casting company just did the casting for that movie. I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking awesome. And then just never heard from the lady.
Yeah.
And it's just been dozens of
They
those
never-
moments
why
for the
they
last
call
6 years.
Yeah.
I'm still fucking a loser. You know? I have work tomorrow, and I was like, I'm a bartender. But yeah, it's just been, countless like,
Yeah.
what ifs.
And that's the biz, right?
That's the biz, yeah.
That's why I won't do it, because I don't face rejection very well. But like, tell me when you're called.
Yeah.
Give me a time when you're gonna call me,
Yeah.
and I'll be by the phone. What do
Yeah,
you
it's.
bet?
I mean, listen, I've not had many moments where I'm like, I'm about to make it, and that is exactly like I've never thought, oh, this is it about to happen, and I've been right every time. Not once
Yeah.
the entire time I've been out here have I been like, I'm about to be famous.
did you come out here solely for comedy, or did you want to
Yeah,
get
I
into
did.
acting?
So had just finished not graduating college. It was
You
just
didn't
like
graduate from Penn State?
no,
Okay.
no. I got like one semester away, and just like decided to be like fat and depressed and drink 6 nights a week. I was like, this seems like a better future.
That's true. Right.
And then I was just like, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and so I was just bartending.
Did you have a major?
Yeah,
What was your
history.
major?
I wanted to go to. So for 3.5 years, I wanted to go.
Natty Ices.
Wanted to go to law school.
Oh, good. You bailed on that.
Got one semester away. I was like, dude, if I have to do 3 more years of school, I'm gonna kill myself.
Law school sucks.
Was like I was prepping for the LSATs and everything, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna kill myself. Not even because of the test, just because I didn't want to be in school anymore.
Yeah.
It's because putting on shoes is a nightmare.
And so I was just like, my parents wanted me to move back home, and I was like, no way.
Right.
So I just got a job and was just doing nothing with my life, just being a fucking fat drunk loser.
At State College?
Yeah. And I would talk to Vinny all the time, and I had been into stand-up comedy for a long time, like a big fan of it.
Yeah, you loved like Greg Giraldo.
Yeah,
you
Giraldo,
loved
Louis C.K.,
yeah.
Burr,
Louis
Rogan.
is the best,
And I would just always talk to, because he was doing it, I always talk to him like, would this be a funny bit? Like, what do you think about this? And I think it was like around Christmas 2014, maybe. You were just like, hey, you're coming home for Christmas, you're going to come into the city and do an open mic with me. It's like, all right, fuck it. And I wrote out some material, and it was bad, but I went and did a mic, and people laughed at it for some reason.
That's good.
And I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I'm doing. It was the first time I'd like, it was basically the first time I'd felt alive in like 3 years. Or I think it was 2016.
It was. I've been living in LA
That's
for a
big.
little bit. Yeah, so I think it was
Yeah.
like 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
I saw the picture on my Instagram. The first night
Yeah.
you did.
And it's like just from that experience, I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do.
Where'd you guys go?
Laughing Buddha, this bar in some part of the city.
I forget where it was. There's
Yeah.
a couple different locations.
Yeah.
But it's a cool little room.
But I was just like,
Apparently
yeah,
it's turned to shit,
this
but-
is it. I'm gonna move to LA next year, and I'm gonna do comedy.
So, I've never done stand-up, and I never will.
You shouldn't.
I won't. I've heard.
I've seen you comment. Proud of you.
I don't like when comics encourage non-comedians to do comedy. Like, oh, you should try it. No,
Yeah,
don't.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not a
yeah.
comic.
Yeah.
I think I can be funny, but I'm not a
I
comic.
really think you're a funny guy.
I've heard that what's the term? Like fucking up on stage.
Bombing.
Bombing on stage is like watching your mother suck 1,000 dicks.
That'd be
Is
actually
this-
kind of fun to
is this
watch compared to
true?
bombing.
Exactly. It's like is that accurate? Have you bombed it? Is it worse than watching your mother suck 1,000 cocks?
So
in front of you?
all right. So the first couple times you bomb, yes.
Yeah.
And then once you
Well,
once
also the first couple times you almost don't know any better though.
I knew. I knew this
Because,
was,
like-
this is not how it's
Is
supposed
bombing
to
is
go.
bombing like silence or booze or both?
No, it's silence.
It's
It's just
It could be
silence.
both.
Like
It could be both.
I feel like
you know how,
booze
like-
I feel like booze could almost be better because it's like maybe you're pressing a button that they don't like, but other
Okay,
people find
so
funny.
I did a show in New York City, and Saturday show, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Crushed. Right. Next day, I had a show at Scotty's, which is a steakhouse.
This was our like local bar.
And
That all
my
happened to
brother's
have a
my brother's
comedy
like,
store.
dude, I'm gonna come see you perform. I'm so excited to see you do your thing. I've been
Derek?
seeing you. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm doing the same shit I did last night.
Yeah.
It fucking killed last night.
Yeah.
So hopefully it goes well. 7 p.m. show at a steakhouse. Everyone's eating dinner. It's a Sunday night.
No.
And my whole shtick, if you will, is just like raunchy shit.
Yeah.
And I was bombing so bad that it was silence, and you could hear the knives and forks hitting the plates until it was interrupted by a lady going, "Make him stop! This is disgusting!" And there was a guy in the audience that ran a club in Jersey that like a week before he saw my set was like, anytime you want to come perform at my place, you let me know. He's in the audience and just is shaking his head.
Oh, wow.
Never talked to me again.
Maybe the food was just really good. It was just really, everyone was focused on the
I was
food.
awful. I was
So
awful.
here's
But it
what
was the same set.
I'll tell you what
but
bombing
see,
is like.
It's a very immature, not immature. It's a very unseasoned move that I had. Is because my material was extremely limited in the fact that it was extremely raunchy and like not really sophisticated. And listen, like if you're a blue comic like a Joey Diaz, it doesn't mean like you're not sophisticated, but he's able to do it.
Can you explain that term? I heard that term the first
What?
time. This blue.
Blue means
Yeah,
like
Means
very,
you're
like,
dirty.
means vulgar.
I thought it was like self-deprecating.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
vulgar.
no, it's not like depressing like
Okay.
blue. It
Like
just it's
blues
very
music.
like vulgar. Like
Vulgar.
Dice is very blue.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a very like I guess like amateur thing that I did by not adjusting to the crowd.
Sure.
It was an older crowd. They're eating their fucking dinner.
It's Scotty's, man.
And
Like we know what Scotty's
Yeah.
is. Like, you can't take it like something you do at the Comedy Cellar and
Yeah.
bring to Scotty's.
Scotty's is basically think of the Olive Garden,
Right.
only it's a steakhouse.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Like Scotty's is a place out. Like my brother would bring me to Scotty's when I was like 19, and I had a fake ID, but it was a real ID. It just was a different guy.
Yeah.
So like they would just scan it. They wouldn't even look at the picture. They'd be like, "Dude, your eyes aren't even the same color." Like, but they would just scan it, and I would get blackout drunk at Scotty's at like 19 years old.
like the lead bartender, who I think his dad owned it.
Big Hawaiian shirt guy, by the way.
Was a
Yes,
guy
yes.
who wore it was a guy who had a mullet, and he routinely got arrested and released for domestic abuse.
Oh, that's
And you'd show up and be like, "Hey, what's going
Funny
on?"
if you
He's
don't know
like,
his girlfriend.
You're like, "Hey, what's going on? What are we doing tonight? I'll take one of the big beers." All right.
It was they made all their money on
Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve. Yeah, where the whole town would come back.
This fucking trash bag of a bar
Yeah.
would charge $25 cover,
Yeah.
and people would just be like making out in the corner. I remember I
Yeah.
tried to finger bang a chick in the comedy cove.
100%.
I won't say who on that.
We'll do
Off
details
the
later.
record.
Yeah,
Off the record.
Yeah.
I won't-
If I could like tell you what bombing is like, you ever been in like a big conversation with like a lot of people, and you tell what you think is going to be like a really good joke,
Yeah,
and no one responds to it,
Yeah.
and so then you say it again
Yeah.
No, I said jabroni.
because you're like, well, they must have not heard
Yeah,
it.
they didn't hear it. Like, no, we heard you.
That's like bombing, except this time you know they all heard it. You're like,
Because they're not talking and you have a microphone.
Yeah. That's kind of what bombing
Yeah,
is like.
I couldn't imagine. Do you guys not like the things that? First of all, there are many reasons I couldn't do stand up, but one I know is that I just laugh at myself. Like when I think something's funny, I'm gonna say it. Like I can't deliver without laughing.
Really?
Sometimes that works though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it kind of works with like black comics a lot. Like
Yeah.
I think
feel
Chris D'Elia does it, right?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Chris D'Elia does it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I just like can't because my friends always like, Ben, we
Bert
can't
Kreischer's
fucking
good at that.
understand you.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Bert he'll suck it in.
Yeah.
Like Bert will he's like trying not to do it. Like I just
Yeah.
can't not like. Do you struggle with that? Because you know it's funny.
Well, I guess when you do it so many times, you're able to say it
Yeah.
and like still like play off like it's funny and like laugh.
Yeah.
It does help sell the joke sometimes. But I mean, when you do it so much, it doesn't like become that like funny anymore to you. I mean, it's still like amusing and stuff, but you've like done it so many times
Sure.
that it isn't like telling it for the first time.
And it's also like that reaction I feel like only comes if the setup is already really working. Like if the crowd is
Yeah.
already super invested and like probably laughing at the setup.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it
like, you
might
can't be
it might
laughing
draw
when
you
the
into
crowd's not
laughing.
laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's so many times where I've thought something's really funny, but I'm like bombing, so I'm like
Yes.
sputtering through it. And
Yes.
my mouth is so
I was gonna
dry.
say, the amount of times I've come up with a joke and be like, dude, this is gonna be like this is gonna be my bread and butter for like years,
Yeah.
and then I just go up there and crickets.
What bits have you had that have just like failed?
I mean,
I'll say one that I'm working on right now, and it's
Yeah.
getting nothing. Dude, I've done a show one time where I was bombing so badly, and there was like 40, 50 people in the crowd, and I was bombing so badly that I'm like talking, and my mouth was, and I was so parched because I'm bombing, and then you can see I have a microphone, and you can still hear a guy in the audience go, "His mouth is so dry."
Oh,
And that got a bigger laugh
Yeah.
than what I was doing.
I think George Costanza is like, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, I was like, my tongue's like just like a sandpaper, and this guy's like, his mouth is so dry.
So you did the KK Kramer thing, right? You just start getting really racist.
Exactly.
And then
So
you start
start
the show.
shouting the N-word. No, I was doing luckily it was at an open mic, because I knew there's a chance it can go down in flames.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this joke now where it's like, I think I told Pat this, and he thinks it's funny, but like it's been bombing. I'm like, yeah, so you guys like believe in
there's a trend of things that I think are really funny that don't work.
yeah, I'm like
They're comic.
yeah, I go, you guys believe in karma? It's kind of like a rhetorical question. I'm like, I kind of believe in karma. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, if you do good shit will happen. If you do bad stuff will happen, right? Like, if you do bad stuff in your past life, in your next life, you'll be cursed, right? And that's just kind of like a weird thing to think about when you see a disabled person.
See, I think that's
You know,
brilliant.
That's funny.
Like,
brilliant.
That's funny.
Instead of going like, oh my
You
god,
gotta
that
stick
poor
with it.
guy, there's like some lady just like yoga in Studio City going like, you fucking piece of shit. You're in a wheelchair for a reason, you asshole. You know?
See, you gotta stick with that. That's a good.
Yeah,
thing.
you just have to find your audience.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then I
That's
talked to a comic after, I'm like, man, that karma bit bombed. And this guy goes, man, you need to have fans do that joke.
People are just like ride or die.
That is a
with
good
you.
point. Though.
Yeah,
that is
true.
a good point.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my material's like that.
Yeah, all of it.
100%. It's tough to come into my comedy cold and be like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Who's this short cocksucker in a party shirt?
Yeah.
talking about
Retards.
Yeah. That's comedy.
Like I've been doing a bit about my dog recently, and I have this tag about her hanging herself with her leash.
Dude,
and it just got a
People
laugh.
want to hear about dead dogs. It's like, honey, we're going out for like a Friday night. We worked all week.
Just got a laugh for the first time, and I was like, oh, now I gotta stick with it.
Wait, where do you get a laugh?
The bomb shelter.
Oh, there you
Where to
go.
get a laugh.
But it hasn't even lasted the regular fourth wall.
It hasn't?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a comedy club called the Bomb Shelter?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where's that?
I wouldn't call it a comedy club. It's an apartment.
It's a
Oh,
studio
okay.
apartment.
It's an apartment.
With a backdrop.
It's an apartment
right.
where I paid $8 to do comedy.
Dude, it's so funny. I was doing, so it's a bomb shelter. So like the mic that we primarily go to is called Fourth Wall, and they have a couple different locations, and usually it's like a 5-minute set.
Yeah.
But there's a bomb shelter where it's a 10-minute set, and this is like 3 years ago probably. I was gonna do the Comedy Store at the Belly Room for the first time.
Nice.
And
I know that.
I had a 10-minute spot. So I was like, all right, I'm going to work out my material. And I did my 10 minutes of material at this bomb shelter. I'm like, oh, 10 minutes set, perfect. I did my 10 minutes of material in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Because it got nothing. And then I'm like, fuck, is this even going to work?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I did this set at the Comedy Store. And when people are laughing, it goes longer. So
Yeah.
it turned out to be 10 minutes.
That's
but it's
good.
just like funny when you do an open mic
Yeah.
and there's just no energy.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, that's all I had to say in half the time. Like,
You don't have like a spinning bow tie for in case.
Yeah, it's incredible how fast you can get through 10 minutes of material when no one's laughing at it.
yeah. It's tough. It's just, yeah.
I've written down shit that I'm like, oh, that'll be funny if it ever gets out, and then I realize like it's just all about Jews.
No, that works, baby.
Like not in
I
a bad,
do-
not in a
I
bad
love
way. Like
Jews.
I had this one bit where I was like, because this happened in real life. We were at a bunch of friends and I were in Point Pleasant, and we were at Jenks. Do you guys know Jenks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know Jenks. It's like one of the big boardwalk
Oh, yeah,
bars.
yeah.
And the guy, the MC is
Anybody
up
need a
there.
drink, by the way?
Yeah.
I'll take a beer.
The seltzer beer,
Any beer.
whatever. The cooler's over there.
Yeah, there's a seltzer.
Cooler, or is it fridge?
Cool.
It's
Oh,
a
it's a cooler.
cooler. So you go
Yeah.
through the gate, and it's on the right.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy was up there, and he was like, where's all my Italians at? We're like, woo! It's like, where's the Irish at? We're like, woo! It's all Polish. I was like, woo! It's like, where all the Jews at? I was like, silence. I was like, I know my friend is Jewish. It's like, but they've learned better than to start saying start identifying themselves. It's like they know better to say we're all the Jews. Like, nope.
Yeah.
like that's funny, right? It's not like
Yeah.
anti-Jewish. Like it's
Right,
funny.
right.
No. If you can, it's a joke like that is all about placement,
Yeah,
like placement in your set.
yeah,
Like if you open with that, it might not do well.
yeah. I
But
also
if
had.
they can trust, like you're like a decent dude.
Take this guy. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. It's not like anti-Jewish, but I also had another Jewish one.
What was your punchline on that? I missed it.
So it was like, well, for the audience. Okay,
sorry.
we'll cut this. All right, it's cool. So it was like, so at Jenks, the MC was like, all right, where's all my Italians
Yeah, I
at?
heard the setup.
Oh, you heard the setup.
Yeah.
So it was like, where's all the Jews at? And it's like, silence. And I'm like, I know my buddy's Jewish, but he's like, I'm like, it's like, 'cause Jews know better than to start like identifying themselves. It's like, where are the Jews? Like
I was, so I heard your setup. I was about to say the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
well, the question where the Jews at
Yeah.
is usually followed by mass murder.
like, nah, dude. But then I also had one because I went to school in New Orleans, and Tulane is there, which is nicknamed Jewlane. And
Oh, really?
oh yeah, it's all people who went to Melbourne High School, and I would go to this local bar that would have open mic night. It was really fun. It was a total mix of like really funny people and people who had no idea what they were doing.
Who are
and
insane
really,
people. Yeah.
yeah, and it would be like someone would get up there just like clutching the mic, just like not knowing how to, and then some people were like hilarious. Like Hannibal Buress would just like show up and do
Oh,
a
really?
set. And yeah, it was fun. It was just like a local bar. And I wanted to, like, one of my bits in my head was like, where are all the Jews at? It's like quiet, like, all right, let me rephrase it. Where are all the Tulane students at? And it's like,
That's funny.
I'm sure it would have worked.
it probably would have worked.
Yeah.
Dude, the difference between, like a comedian who's just been doing open mics and like an actual like someone who's been doing it for decades, it's night and day. I saw Norm Macdonald at the Sounds of Improv, and there were a couple like local comedians, and it was, I mean, like just like the difference in like everything, like the timing, the presence. There was like
Totally.
it was like awkward millennial
It's a bummer.
like comedians. Like there's one chick, it was in Silicon Valley. It's just, yeah, have you ever like sucked a like a Silicon Valley dude's dick? It's just like, and then he like comes on your tits, and he's like, he's kind of like autistic because it's like this really dull, like awkward millennial chick thing.
Yeah.
And then Norm Macdonald goes on. And it's like completely 180 degrees. It's like, oh, that's
Norm
actually
was-
funny. That's actually a joke.
What I loved about Norm, because obviously after he passed away, like everyone started looking up Norm stuff, like right then, and I loved how he would just like commit to the bit, even if he's like being interrupted, like on Conan or something. He like be interrupted,
He
just
did-
like
remember the thing he did on The View?
no, which one?
When
Was
he talked about the Clintons murdering that
Yeah,
guy and just committed to it super hard.
Like,
It's like, yeah, well, he's a murderer.
They're trying to interrupt him and just like keep going. I fucking it's so funny because he like wouldn't break.
Yeah.
He just like keep going with like everyone knows like the moth joke or whatever.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
Going with the moth joke, and Conan would like try to interrupt him. He's like, and.
So anyway,
And my son Alexandri.
Yeah.
Like, keep going.
even when interviewers were being dicks and they were asking
Yeah.
stupid jackass questions, it didn't faze him at all.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
I might have been the View some show where it's a bunch of
Thanks,
chicks
man.
and they're interviewing him, and she goes, "Oh, so is it true that you've only read 6 books in your entire life?" He goes, "Yeah," and she goes, "What kind of woman would be interested in you?" And he goes, "Well, I've got a lot of money."
There's one like great Norm story that I heard recently after his death.
Yeah.
And it's like this like county fair where it's like it was advertised as like a family fair,
Yeah.
and everyone's doing time and like his name's and he's on SNL and like He's like names posted on it. Everyone's like excited to see him, and it's this county fair, and it's like a family thing. It's like broad daylight, and he comes out, and his opening joke is, "So I was watching this pig fuck a girl, and he's really giving it to her. You know, he's like, he's really fucking her good. You know, he's pretty good for a pig, and he's fucking this chick, and I felt bad for the girl because." Getting fucked by a pig. There's like families there, and he goes, but then I felt worse for the pig. Because after he fucks this chick, you gotta go back to fucking pigs. Gotta go back to his pig wife. He was just fucking this hot chick, and now he's gotta fuck his pig wife again, you know? And
That's a joke,
he walked the whole carnival, and then he got disinvited to a golf outing next day.
Of course.
My favorite thing
It's a badge of honor, though.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things I ever heard about him was that he used to love when he would bomb. He used to love to go outside the venue and then shake everyone's hand on the way out. Just, hey, thanks for coming. How'd you like the show? And he would only do it when he bombed.
Dude, that was so we ran a couple shows for our buddy Augustino. We did this one. What was his name? Adam Ferrara.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy Adam Ferrara, you know him as a comedian.
I feel like I've heard of him.
He was the chief in Rescue Me. Italian dude. Anyway, so we did a show with our buddy Augustino, and our buddy Augustino's like, listen, I'm doing a show at this place, but I'm doing a spot at the Ice House first. So you and Pat run it. I'm gonna come like basically right before it ends, and I'm gonna headline. Introduce yourself to Adam and organize the thing, and whatever. So we get there, and Adam's like, so where's Augustino? And I'm like, oh hey, by the way, this is Pat. My name is Vinnie. We're gonna be running the thing. We'll put you up whenever. Yeah. Little thing is, there's no microphone. It's not working. And he's like, what? I go, yeah, there's no microphone. It's just got to project. And then he like leaves, and then 5 minutes later he goes, hey, Frankie, I'm not going to be able to do the show because I got a laryngitis and I got a commercial tomorrow. So tell Augustino thank you, and it was a pleasure to meet you. So he leaves. And then Pat and I do the show, and like I just like don't have like a great set. And I'm like thanking everybody for coming, and like they can't like make eye contact with me because like I just like didn't do that great. I'm like, thanks for coming. I'm like, yeah, all right, okay. It's like I know that feeling of just thanking people for coming, and then like seeing on their face
rough,
like,
man.
boy, you
didn't have a good set that night.
I didn't have a great set. It was one of those sets where it's just like. No one's dying to say goodbye to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like back then, I never had a great set.
I mean,
at that
same.
point in my comedy career.
I'm still trying to figure it out, but, like, obviously I feel, like, way more comfortable now, and I'm, like, way more confident now, but, I mean, that was, like, what, 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Probably 3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, like, I mean, looking back 3 years from now, even, like, a month ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I get tired of my jokes so quick.
And then, 3 years ago, although there was, like, a really good point in the set where I did this one joke where it's, like, very polarizing. And I'm like, hold on, guys, just bear with me. Mm-hmm. And then I finished the bit, and they all laughed.
Yeah.
So there was a point, and that just comes from working a joke out. And, like, doing it over and over again, and knowing that, like, there's pushback at this point, but... they win them over at that point.
Do you notice that there's, so let's say you have a bit, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you were just referring to, the polarizing one. Is it does it just hit different with a certain audience?
Yeah.
Or is it working it out a certain way? Do you notice if you go to this club or this bar or whatever it is, it works and it doesn't work, or is it more on the comedian to figure out?
All of it.
Oh, yeah, all the above.
All of the above. Like, I don't do it anymore, but the joke that I'm thinking of, I think it went like, so I was waiting tables, and I waited on my first mentally challenged European.
Sure.
And for some reason, I just didn't know that they could be mentally challenged.
You think they advanced past that?
Yeah, I thought it was just like an American thing, and that's
right.
when they pull back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I start talking to this guy, and he goes, "May I have some water?" And I'm like, this guy's fucking smarter than me. I say, can I have some water? This guy's going like, may I? Like, that was like basically the premise of the joke. I forget exactly how it went, but
I can see that it's pretty polarizing. I can see that.
But why though? That's a good bit.
It's a good bit. It is because I don't mean to cut you off, but at the same time, it's like you're complimenting them, like you're complimenting the
Exactly.
person, and that's what has happened to. And Joe and I talk about this all the time. It's like that's what's happened so much in our culture. It's like you could be promoting, complimenting, whatever the thing is, but it's like now it's turned into the fact that you're even bringing it up, discussing
And
it,
and if you look like
taboo.
us and discuss it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like in this hyper, like, uptight culture now, where it's like they think that the subject of the joke is the exact same thing as the target of the joke.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
there's this example. There's this comedian who went on Joe Rogan. I can't remember what his name was, but he was doing a show at a college thing, and the joke was something like, "Now I know that being gay isn't a choice because I have a friend who's gay and he's black. Like, no black guy wakes up and says, "I wish my life was harder."
The Indian guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like,
yeah.
and people got offended by it. He's like,
Oh,
"No, it's
is that the
actually-"
guy in Colombia who they cut his mic
Yes,
off?
exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
and
Indian
he
guy.
wrote a New York Times article about
Yeah.
it. And he goes, "It's
Yeah.
actually a progressive joke. I'm saying life is hard for blacks. I'm saying
Yes,
life's hard
exactly.
for gays."
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And I'm
exactly.
empathize. It's a progressive joke, but
Exactly.
people
You're
are offended.
saying it's not a choice.
Right, exactly.
Yes, and-
But
but
simply
that's
because you made a joke about it, like that's uptight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good. That's a very good episode.
Yeah. Good point too.
So that's my whole comedy career. I go, guys, come on.
Hey, come on already!
I hear you talk about like your polarizing jokes. And I'm like, dude, I've never written a joke that the whole audience can get on board with.
There was one set that Pat did recently where, like, it wasn't going well, and
Recently?
yeah, it was the one
It wasn't going well.
it was the one that I hosted, the Fourth Wall one at the cafe. We were it was like a couple shows ago. And you're
Oh yeah, that was not great.
That
That was
great.
and
that was-
he's up there like kind of like bombing.
Yeah.
not bombing, but I was working
You
for
were
it.
bombing.
I was not bombing. I was struggling.
Your last bit did great.
Yeah.
Up to that, it was
Which was my most controversial one.
What's
Yeah.
the where? First of all, where is this place? What's the audience? What's
it was.
You never know what the audience is going to be.
It was a pretty. This show is a pretty mixed audience, which
Okay.
is like helps you or hurts you.
yeah.
And it was like this like little like a place to do open mics, but they turn into a showroom where you can
Sure.
like do your shows.
Sure.
By the way, if you're in
yeah,
LA,
Comedy Aces.
Comedy Aces,
November 19th.
Friday night, Friday the 19th, 5220, Fourth Wall Comedy
Hollywood
Cafe.
Boulevard.
Yeah.
This will go out next year, so.
Okay, cool, yeah, perfect. But yeah, and like Pat's up there, there's like basically complaining, I think, about like getting a blowjob from his girlfriend or something, and he goes, "Ugh, I hope not one of those just white guys that just don't know they're being white." It was just perfect.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't really getting much, and then like he kind of like got him back, and then he finished with like his most polarizing bit,
Yeah.
which is fucking and I was like,
Is it abortion related?
No, it's about tards.
Okay.
and it was funny because that night we were going over our set lists, and I'm like, so what are you doing tonight? He's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, and I'm not sure what to finish on, and I'm like, oh, you gotta finish on the America's Got Talent bit. He's like, really? I'm like, dude, that's your best bit. It's your best bit.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing is
And he
going
wasn't
in-
doing
yeah.
too hot during the whole set, and then
Yeah.
he finished with that,
Mm.
and he even says like, the R word or whatever, and
Retard. Be a man.
and it fucking
We can say it on this podcast.
and it crushed.
Yeah, so going into that bit, because yeah, I was fighting to get like tepid laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so going into it, I was like, this is just not going to work. Like, if none of this was working, my joke about retards is going to bomb.
But it's such a good joke though that it still works.
Yeah.
Right. So, you guys do a lot of shows in LA. And LA is so big, so
I wouldn't say I do a
sprawling.
lot. But.
So, you do
I
the occasional
do
show.
comedy in LA somewhat frequently.
Yeah. Who needs a drink?
But
I take a piss.
do you notice like different laughs, like in different parts of LA, where it's
If
like,
there is a seltzer, I'll take one, please.
like where it's like, okay, like doing a show in Long Beach is different than doing a show off like Hollywood Boulevard. Or something. Like, is the difference in LA that different? Like, is
Yes,
it that
I've done a
bad?
couple shows in Ventura County.
Yes.
They'll laugh at everything.
I heard that they're much more open to like politically incorrect stuff.
Yeah, I heard basically
Yes.
north and south of LA
Yeah.
are great.
Yeah.
I heard San Diego is tremendous.
Mm.
I've heard Ventura County is also great. The only comedy I've done is LA, Vermont, New Jersey, and New York.
Well, you've done Ventura County once.
Where?
Tarantula Hills, Ventura County.
Oh, okay.
Thousand Oaks.
Okay, yeah, they're great.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, really good crowd. Dude, they were laughing at everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tarantula Hills, it's like,
You just don't have to worry
yeah.
about, be like, is this a...
Yeah,
this
they're
a
just
Right,
super
right.
chill. And not to say if you're like an asshole or like, saying like racist shit.
Right.
They're gonna laugh. They're not like bigots.
But you can afford to be a little more edgy.
They
more
can.
provocative.
I think
They give you the benefit of
I
the
think
doubt.
they just do a really good job at reading the comic and
Yeah.
reading where they're coming from.
Right.
And knowing
They understand you're telling a joke.
yeah, and they can tell he or she is coming from a good place.
Right,
Like
right.
it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Like they're really good at like establishing that. Whereas like LA, like sometimes like there's a lot of pullback with just the topic. Like
Yeah.
you said,
Oh,
it could
yeah.
just be the topic.
Right,
And they'll
right.
pull back.
Yeah, Joe Rogan talked about it. He's like, if a white guy gets up on stage and he makes a joke about like like a black guy and a white woman being like dating, it's like that's enough. It's like not even making fun of race, but just bringing up like
Just
oh,
bringing
interracial
it up.
couple.
If you bring up a topic, especially as a white guy,
Right.
I don't like complaining about being a white guy.
Right.
It sounds really fucking cheesy.
Sure.
But like, I would say this is probably the only industry where like being a white guy just doesn't help.
Yeah.
It's a gigantic hindrance.
Yeah. Like honestly, I did a show this week.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty diverse lineup.
Yeah.
There was, let's say there's like 9-10 comics.
Mhm.
I would say 3 or 4 of them were white guys. No, like 3 of them were white guys. One was a
Yeah.
white woman, and then the rest were some kind of minority.
Yeah.
And the crowd was pretty mixed,
Yeah.
like white, black, Hispanic, and
You mean Latinx?
Yeah.
Latinx. Wait, you can't say Hispanic anymore?
I don't think that's politically correct anymore.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Okay,
There's
well,
always a bit stupid.
I apologize if that's incorrect. I just thought you can call it. I don't.
I don't care.
Don't apologize.
It's a stupid
But,
difference.
And maybe it's just like me projecting,
Yeah.
but I felt like honestly every time like a white guy went on stage,
Yeah.
the audience was just like,
Yeah, no, it for sure is like that sometimes.
It's stupid.
And
It's
I've
like-
been in the room, not even performing. Like,
Yeah.
so I got to look at it objectively.
Right.
I went to a show one time. Remember that show I told you about that was the worst comedy show I've ever been to? It had
Yes.
every bad stereotype of comedy.
yes.
There
Thank
were,
you, sir.
Welcome.
I would say, 2 funny comedians on the entire show, and they were both white guys. And the audience just wasn't there for it because they were white guys. And I was like, these are the only 2 funny people on the show.
You actually had a really good joke about that.
I did. But it's a joke for comedians.
Yeah. It's a good open mic joke.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you guys hear about that socialist comedy collective in LA?
Oh, yeah, I read
No.
that whole article.
Yeah. It's
Well, so-
I'm sure it's gonna be hilarious.
so fucking dumb.
Well, I saw the headline. They were like, "Is this socialist collective changing comedy?" And then I
Right.
read it and was like, "Oh, thank God! They're only talking about improv, not real comedy."
Right. But they were talking about like if a comedian who's part of this collective, if they get in trouble because they make a joke about some group, and then like, are you going to cancel them? And like, no, what we're going to do is like we encourage them to like we're all about second chance, but we encourage them to take some like diversity and sensitivity classes.
if-
It's like, I don't want my
Gagging
comedians
spoon.
taking sensitivity classes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like,
if your comedians are participating in wrong speak,
That's
you have
right.
to.
Exactly.
But they were talking about having like segregated comedy shows. Oh,
What?
yeah, where it's like, okay, like a black audience can laugh at a black comedian, and so it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like, what the hell? Like, why is this
Also,
Why is this acceptable?
also cultural, what's it called?
Appropriation?
Appropriation
Yeah.
is the dumbest
You mean,
shit.
yeah, you mean the way everyone's
I've
learned
ever
everything ever
fucking-
in the history of
Right.
the world?
It's the
Yeah.
dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, calling it a cultural appropriation is
Yeah.
basically another way for saying, guys, we shouldn't mix. We should all be separate.
Well, I forget the guy's name. He's a comedian. He makes a lot of videos online. He's this skinny, like, white guy with like curly, long hair,
Okay.
and he did this video about like it was how far right and far left people actually have the same exact
Yeah,
idea.
Ryan Long.
I don't
yeah,
think black
yeah.
and white people should get married.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Ryan Long.
No,
Yeah.
it's
It's a
funny.
great
It's
video.
funny because
So
It's like
fucking
woke
funny.
and racist, and it's
Yes.
like they just always
They
agree
actually
on
have the same
thing.
exact
And like how the
idea.
woke dude's
Yeah.
like, I'm just saying that, white people have a lot of privilege, and then the racist was like, yeah, it is privilege to be white.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no, yeah, it's right now the far right and also the far left are both like against the vaccine. They're on the same side.
Yes.
Right.
It's so.
But
fucking bizarre.
it's only okay to be against the vaccine if you're black because the government has.
Right.
It's fucked you over.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah.
Of course.
Well, for me, like I've always thought of comedians being like professional anarchists, where it's like if I'm going to go to a comedy show, like I'm going to be prepared. Like, okay, they're probably going to say things that are going to rub me the wrong way, but it's like, I'm paying money for that. Like I know. Like I feel like ironically, going to a comedy show, it's like it's a safe space for dangerous ideas.
Yeah.
Like
You're
I know
supposed
what
to
I'm
say
getting
something
into.
ridiculous.
Right.
Dude, I mean, you know, the Godfather, if you will, Lenny Bruce of stand-up, got arrested several times.
Yeah.
That was
For
one of our
saying.
first
It was our first episode.
He was arrested 4 times.
We talked about
for
obscenity.
Insane.
And in cities like New York, Chicago,
LA,
San Francisco, LA, like some of
Insane.
the most progressive cities, why we, the point of this podcast is to highlight what we call like dangerous artists, provocative, whatever it is, people who are not being part of socialist collective comedians.
Here's my beef with like the older generation who loves to talk about freedom of speech with like what maybe not people I agree with, but like that our generation is like cracking down on freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Is these same people get offended by the word fuck.
Right.
You say fuck in front of a bunch of 80-year-olds, and they act like you've committed a crime.
Sure,
but, like you could
right.
just say the N-word. And
Or
like,
if you make
well,
fun
you
of
know,
Jesus or something.
freedom of speech.
Yeah. But then that same 80-year-old will see a black guy and be like, watch him.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know? It makes no sense.
They whisper when they say black guy.
Get locked.
Yeah. Like, you know, if I say, like, fuck around my grandparents.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Whoa.
But then we'll be at dinner and be like, yeah, so we went to Walmart and we saw this black guy walk into the parking lot and I don't think he paid.
I mean, by the way, saying black guy for them is like progress.
Yeah.
I remember. So actually, when I first got Chomper, I was at a friend's house, and my friends were like, "Oh, but what kind of dog is he?" And I was telling them about it, and they're like, "Oh, so what color is he?" And I said, "Oh, he's black." And then the whole room gets quiet. I said, "That's the color of his fur." Like, it's just like you asked me a question.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
It's
so
a fucking dog.
It's so funny. There was this black waitress
Wow.
at the restaurant I work at, and this guy comes in and he goes, "Hi, I just wanted to add something onto my tab. Do you know where my waitress is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what did he or she look like?" "Oh, she was a very pretty girl." I'm like, "Was she a black chick?" And he's like,
Oh!
he's like,
Whoa!
"She was tan." And I'm like, "Got it. Yeah. Black, yeah.
Black Zoe.
Her name is Zoe."
and that's funny because
what's the
so
big fucking deal?
exactly. And there's this Nigerian writer who I like a lot, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Say that 5 times fast. And she wrote this awesome book called Americana, and she talks about this exact thing where it's like in retail, there was the same experience where it was like a customer asking about like basically if you bought the clothing from someone, they got a commission or something like that.
There's an Amy Schumer sketch on that.
Right, and I was like, well, Amy Schumer.
She probably stole it from this artist.
She probably stole it from this book.
Probably.
But it was like, well, which one was she? And it's like, oh, she's wearing this. It's like, oh, well, there's a black one and a white one. It's like, what's the big deal? Like, just say it was the black girl.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same concept. Like, you're just doing it to identify someone.
Right.
You're not doing it to say like, well, they should not have the right to vote. Like that's like you're just saying like it's just.
So it's okay to call black people black.
Like it's communication.
When you start describing a black person by the skull measurements, that's when it gets.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why like I'm.
Well, they're prone to criminality and large penises.
It was the inherently lazier one.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
that's
it's
problems. Like, but if it's just like, well, was the black one and the white one and the Asian one? It's like, yeah, that's it. Just like, I firmly believe that the vast majority of our government is run by pedophilic reptilians. But once they start talking about the Rothschilds, I exit the conversation because then it becomes anti-Semitic.
You actually believe it, do you?
He doesn't know.
He didn't say no.
He does not believe it.
He didn't say no, folks.
Well, I mean, I didn't know I was
goes
on
without
trial
saying.
here, and I was going to be cross-examined on my own podcast.
As he tightens his Rambo bandana. Well,
I was going to be cross-examined on my own podcast here. Jeez, Well, should we stop recording?
It's funny. Like I do I'll do a joke sometimes, like depending on what has
I
already
do,
come
by
up
the
in the
way.
room, where I'll be like, yeah, you know, you like I know I automatically can't trust someone when they call black people African American. Like
Yeah.
I know that's not what you're calling them in your head,
Right.
and only black people laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's the same. But like, even going back to what you said with the vaccines. So, yeah, you live here. I live in Jersey, which isn't as crazy, but like, I go to New York a lot. My girlfriend lives in New York, so I go there a lot, and they're very like vaccine passport checking. You know, the only place where they don't check they don't check your passport.
Black businesses.
Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem, they don't give a shit. Upper West Side, Lower East Side, Fide, they give a shit.
And they're not going to go
They
shut
give a
down
shit about
business
that.
in Harlem.
You know why?
Harlem for
Because
it.
a third of black people in New York are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Where people think it's like this wave of maggots, like MAGA people coming to the city, like fucking up. No, it's the people who live there.
Yeah.
It's vast majority Latino and Latinx and black people who are not vaccinated, and that's why it's like this delicious, what I call intersectional pretzel of like Black Lives Matter protesting the vaccine mandates, and I'm like, I fucking love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I also loved how the term Latinx is just roundly despised by the Latino
Yeah.
community. It's like
That's
98% of them hate it.
Yes, yes. They
Which
fucking,
nationality?
I'm Mexican now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
But,
No,
you,
yeah,
but you pass for white, so you don't count, Joe.
I know.
Don't you know that?
Wait,
Yeah. White adjacent.
I
Yeah.
had a tweet recently where it's like because
You're a house
Latinos
Mexican.
are starting to vote a lot more for Republicans. A lot more, like, even the fucking Virginia governor's right, like, the fucking Virginia governor, this fucking, like, white dad, Carlisle group, suburban, wealthy guy, won a majority of Latinos. Like, I tweeted, I'm like, I see the term white Hispanic used a lot in the future. Like, like, they're gonna do whatever it takes. Because you never heard white Hispanic until, like, last year when it was like, white Hispanic cop shoots black person. Like, you never
I feel
heard
like they
that
do
shit.
a lot with Cubans, because Cubans are really conservative.
Yes, you don't know they just do it when
Because
it fits
they're
the
so
fucking
afraid
narrative.
of like.
Yeah, well, they got a pretty good reason for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good reason.
because they all fled a
They
country.
saw what- yes.
All the Cubans here fled the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's great, and also it's kind of circling back to like the stand-up thing is, if you think about it, it's really the only art form where there's so much like persecution of the artists for what they say, whereas every other, which is why I like love Tarantino so much, is because like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, we love
you know?
him too.
But
we did a whole episode on him.
really.
Oh,
Yeah, we did a whole episode.
I'm just fucking, checking out the vibe.
Yes,
So, like, Lenny Bruce, Tarantino.
Exactly.
Loves feet and the N-word. You gotta like him.
Yes. That's why I watch it.
It's like, you watch a movie, you see a you see a painting, you listen to a song, whatever.
Yeah.
Fine, but like you see some guy on stage and they don't see that it's like a performer and someone like writing something that is satirical and they're trying to like address a kind of like a tiptoe subject and like make fun of it. Like, all right, so these great guys. It's called Defiant Digital, and it's this production company. It's a black production company.
Yeah.
And one of the things they had me on was this food show called Food Fights. It's on my Instagram. You can watch it. And the guy, I met him, and he goes, his name is Kenny. He goes, hey, so my name is Kenny. I got referred to you by your buddy. So basically, this is a food show where we're just making fun of races again. Like
Racist?
Races.
Racist.
Yeah. It's like we're making fun of races again because you can do that if you're like if we love each other. Like you can do that and in good heart.
Yeah.
And the show is basically we cook one dish that is like indigenous to one race, and then other races cook that dish. And you just like shit on people.
Okay.
And like the episode was like Italian food, so I was the Italian, and there's other races cooking the Italian food.
It's Italian X.
Sorry, Italian X. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's like let's just be friends again and like poke fun and like you can do that without like.
That's
being...
what there was. I feel like there was this blip in time where like that was okay.
Yeah.
It was like
blip. You mean all of history until 20 years ago?
No, because like there was a time where
because before it was racist.
There was a time. Let's keep things in perspective. Where like there was no comedy, right? Like things weren't funny if you said something about the king, you got your head cut off.
Right.
You know.
Also, Like, you know, before
Like you wouldn't say
before
shit in the
60s.
50s. Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like
It was not good.
like there,
you know?
and then even the 60s, like Lenny Bruce and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you would be fucking arrested for obscenity.
Mhm.
It was really this point, like. There's this crazy time with the colleges, and that really started with like the postmodernism and the Frankfurt School and all this, but like they didn't really take off into pop culture. It was kind of like, I guess maybe like part of the 80s into the 2000s, and then starting in the 2000s, it really became this hyper political, like PC type of thing. Where like it doesn't mean there weren't people pushing back, but there was this idea of if you say anything about like race or religion or whatever it was, like there was a contingent of people who were against it.
Right.
And now it's become insane.
It started
like,
the pendulum swing of
yes.
this overcorrection.
Yes, I'd say that. Now I think the high point of it was last year. I think there is more of a backlash, which is good.
Yeah.
But even still, I mean, look at fucking the Dave Chappelle special.
Yeah.
We did an episode on that. I was actually talking to the guy who was holding up the signs, like, we love Dave, Vito. I was talking to him. We're going to have him on the show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it's like, you have a guy just saying, we love jokes, we love Dave,
Yeah.
and he's being smeared in the media.
Mhm.
And, like, it's fucking, you have a woman yelling, and you can't make this shit up. That's why I say it's a fucking religion. She's yelling, repent, motherfucker, repent, motherfucker, repent, motherfucker. It's like, this woke shit is a religion. Like, that, like, you can't get more religion. And I believe that as Americans, we have more in common than we think, and, like, we have that Puritan strain. Mm-hmm. It's in our DNA. And unfortunately, it used to be very right-wing, and it's become very left-wing.
Yeah.
Where it's like this, like, Puritan...
Need to conform.
Yes, this need to conform and, like, moral purity that other countries don't have. It doesn't mean that they don't have their own issues. Of course they do. I would still take the U.S. in many ways over a lot of other countries. But there is this, like, creepy... You know, they're literally carrying a fucking raised fist through the streets of Minneapolis. Like, that's a fucking religion.
Yeah.
Like, that is creepy and weird.
On YouTube, I saw Don Rickles doing... I think it was actually a benefit show or it was some kind of charity thing. It was like in the early '90s, and he's making fun of everybody in the audience, like every group.
Yeah.
And so he's pointing at people, hey, look at that black guy, and he's making jokes about the black guy. Hey, look at that white lady. Hey, hey, look at that Asian guy. He's just making fun of everybody, regardless of and everybody's cracking up because they knew, like Don Rickles. If you go to a Don Rickles show, he's probably gonna make fun of you or your group or whatever you're part of. But it just seemed like that was accepted. Like you knew what you were getting to when you went to a Don Rickles show.
Yeah.
I fucking love Don. Dude,
I've
if I could have
great.
dinner with one person from history,
Dude, so-
honestly,
Don
it might be
Rickles?
Don Rickles.
Really?
There's this
I mean,
great
how great of a time with that?
There's this
Yeah,
great
that'd
Don
be
Rickles story, and actually he had a show before he died called Dinner with Don, and one of my favorite show episodes was him and Billy Crystal, and they're eating dinner, and Billy goes, "So Don, like in your like whole career, like you made fun of people just like all the time. Was there ever a moment where someone like got mad at you?" And he goes, "Well, it was this one time I did a show, and after the show, this big fucking guy comes up to me and he goes." You called my girlfriend a dog. I'm gonna beat your ass. And Don's like, I was just joking. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna kill you. Well, Don was in bed with like the mafia, so he called his manager, and he's like, hey, this guy is like banging on my dressing room door. He wants to kill me. Like, so my manager called the Brooklyn Boys, and like the mob just shows up.
Fucking dope.
They knock on the door like, Mr. Rickles, where's this guy? He's like, he's outside, and they just like took care of it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the mafia.
Mafia is so dope.
I was bartending this week, and this guy came in. Really interesting dude. I wouldn't say like who it is, but he like owns several businesses. He's kind of like a successful, wealthy guy. Anyway, we're talking, and I'm like, just like talking about like businesses, and I'm like, oh man, I would never own a business because just anyone, especially in California, can just sue you. And he goes, oh my god, dude, I've been sued 3 or 4 times. It's cost me like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and one of them was this lady who I paid to get her teeth fixed. I paid to give her a car because she couldn't get to work. I paid for her husband's funeral. She came to me and she goes, I want to quit. I want to resign. I just like don't want to work anymore. And he's like, really? You sure you want to leave the family? Like, we've taken good care of you. And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. And I'm like, okay, well, just cover our tracks. would you mind just like signing something saying that you like you're resigning and stuff, just so we can like have it on the books? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. She signs it. 4 months later, she sues him. Long story short, he pays out a 6-figure loan, and then he goes, and another time this guy sued me for no reason, and he goes, and you know what? To be honest, my nephew is the president of the Vagos, and for a second, I thought about calling him just to fucking tune this guy up. And I go, it's funny you mention that, 'cause my buddy Pat, we're just talking about how we should bring the mafia back. And he starts fucking cracking up. He's like, I'm Italian. We should bring the mafia back. Like, and I'm like, wouldn't it be nice just to walk down the street with a guy sipping espresso knowing you're safe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get it. They served a purpose.
It's my honestly, it's my, you've said this too, but like other than comedy, it's like my dream career.
Mafia?
Oh god, yeah.
What would you do?
Just wear velour tracksuits.
No,
and
but
fucking,
that's not what you do.
Oh, that is 100%.
No, I've been joking. I'm like the mafia movies and porn do a great job at making the job look way better than it actually is. like it's not getting fun. It's not fun getting shot at, and it's not fun fucking for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you have to like cover dead bodies in acid. And
they're in the game. They get it.
Oh, speaking of which,
you cool like fucking chopping something with a saw in half, like a femur in half.
I just have a different method. Maybe we dissolve them in acid or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
By the way,
That's what I just said. That's
you
the first
and
one.
you and I may have to pay a visit to some guy soon.
Oh really?
Yeah, the guy who hit Zoe. The car accident.
Oh, with his car.
Yeah,
I thought.
yeah.
Dude, I thought you were telling me that someone physically struck
No.
Zoe.
So
I was like, yeah, we might pay
girlfriend?
him a visit.
yes, it's a long story, but we might have to.
Yeah.
Drive out there.
What happened?
Basically, my girlfriend was driving, and this construction truck had a piece of drywall fly out on the highway.
Yeah.
Nailed her side view mirror off.
Mm.
She called me. I drove out there to make sure everything was going accordingly.
Sure.
Guy gave me his information, his insurance card, whatever. All right, cool. Like, nice to meet you. Bada beep, bada boop. Right.
Yeah.
A month and a half later, now, the insurance company still has not contacted my girlfriend or paid for her side view mirror, so she's driving with like half her mirror hanging off. It's not safe.
Jeez.
So yesterday, I've called several times already, but yesterday I called her supervisor and the appraiser every hour on the hour and just like left a message. It's Vinny again. I'll talk to you in an hour. And just like kept calling. And they finally called her.
Yeah.
After fucking doing all that.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, there's a Mr. Falcone, there's a problem because there may be like the guy is saying that like it wasn't da 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 da. So.
What could be the problem?
He's trying.
The problem is he's a liar.
He's fucking lying, and
Yeah,
I gotta go fucking drive to Chatsworth.
Oh, that's a dog shit town.
Given the business.
Where's Chatsworth?
Chatsworth
Fuck.
It's right by Simi Valley.
Yeah.
It's like where it's like the
Like Ventura County?
it's if you're a
North.
poor in
No,
Ventura County.
just south of Ventura. I mean, just south of what would you say?
It's just south of
Ventura.
Simi Valley.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if you're the poorest person in Ventura County, you live in Chatsworth.
Okay.
It's like the Irvington of Ventura County.
I get.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
It's not a good area.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
The best was one time. This is when Pat and I lived together, and he already took pre-workout. He's stretching. He's like about to work out and shit, and I'm like cooking breakfast, and I get a call. And it's my girlfriend,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Hey," and she's a French bulldog. At this time, like Lady Gaga's fucking dog
like that
walker
week.
just got shot and shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
She's like, "Hey, so me and Ivy are walking Bello, and there's this white van that keeps following us, and they actually pulled over and opened the side view door and was like, hey, you guys should get in." And I'm like,
No.
I'm like, first off, was this the bang bus? And she's like, what is that? I'm like, never mind. I'm like, all right, well, where are you? She's like, I'm home right now, but he's like circling my neighborhood, and like,
Jesus.
I don't even have to say anything. Pat looks at me and goes, I'll get my jacket. And we both just like hop in my car. He grabs his blackjack. I grab my baseball bat, and we just drive around Studio City, just looking for this like fucking white.
You find
Dodge.
it?
No.
Yeah, that's super fucking creepy, man.
Yeah, but like honestly, the way the police, or
Yeah.
lack thereof,
Yeah.
in LA,
Like they're-
you need vigilantes.
Yeah.
Like you need,
Yeah.
you
You
need.
like,
If
protect
you
yourself
don't take
and-
care of it yourself, it's not happening.
not gonna-
Exactly. I was telling Joe, I'm like, dude, I've been here for 3-4 days now. I haven't seen an LAPD car.
No.
I still haven't.
Dude, they do fucking ungats.
I haven't seen exactly. I saw a sheriff,
Mhm.
because I think someone like didn't wear a mask in a restaurant, so they called the fire department.
Gestapo,
Right, but I saw a short. I still have not seen an LAPD car. Which is
That-
wild
dude,
'cause
they don't
in New
do
York,
it.
you see NYPD
Everywhere.
Dude,
Yeah, that is
me,
true.
me
You
and
see
Pat,
NYPD.
me and Pat could be pushing my car on the highway, drinking beers, and no one would come.
Dude, we were driving on the highway. There's guys like picking up shit. I'm like, I admire that. Like he's like picking up plastic, but I'm like, he's gonna fucking die. Like someone's gonna drill him.
And let me tell you, no one will show up.
No, show up.
They'll have to make an appointment with the police to come out.
Mhm.
Dude,
Well, we were.
our apartment got robbed, and we called the
Really?
police. Yeah, our old one, back when we lived in Hollywood.
Hollywood.
And we got robbed, broken into, stolen. Like, they stole
They stole
several.
your shit?
Actually, they didn't steal any of my shit.
Oh,
They
okay.
stole a watch.
They stole your shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
shit.
stole
I
a
had
watch
nothing
that
to
my
steal.
girlfriend got for me for my
That's the kind of
birthday.
life I was living
At
at this
least
point.
like $250, like a watch.
Damn.
They stole some cash. They stole my weed,
Yeah.
and then they stole my other roommate's like $300.
Really?
So I walked in my room, my drawers were open, and nothing was gone. I was like, this is
Well, at this
it's
time,
pretty
my
sad.
day's ruined.
It's a pretty sad indictment
just
of my
closed
life
it
here.
this morning.
at that point, Pat was using a cardboard box to prop his laptop on to jerk off.
Jerk off, yeah. This
wasn't
is
really-
a real indictment of my
He
lifestyle.
didn't have much of a throne.
Box.
And but we called the police like, hey, our apartment just got robbed.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well,
Just inconvenient.
well,
God
no one
damn.
can come right now.
Yeah.
You can either wait till 4 a.m, someone will show up, or you can make an appointment for tomorrow. We'll come by. An appointment? What am I getting, a haircut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I called. The street we lived on was like actually nice, but there was guys doing meth all the time.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend would come over late after work, and I called one. And I'm like, "Hey, there's a guy doing meth on my street," and they're like, "Okay." I'm like, "We gonna do something about it?" He's like, "Well, yeah, he's probably already high, so the damage is done." I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?"
What are we supposed to do now?
Yeah.
We saw a homeless guy lighting a fire in his tent
Oh, yeah.
on Sunset
Jeez.
Boulevard, and we happened to pull into a 7-Eleven at the time, and there was a cop car there, and we were like, hey, there's some guy lighting a fucking fire down there. And I was like, yeah, I guess we'll check
They're
it
like, "Okay, let's go." And then one time we were driving home from work, broad daylight. There's this guy lighting a fire, and like a street over,
Yeah.
Big fire.
we see like literally 7 cops talking to a guy with a backpack, and the guy's just like doing nothing.
Yeah.
I roll down the window. I go, "Hey guys, one of you want to go over and see this guy lighting a fire?" They're like, "Yeah." Well, they look around to each other like, "We'll check it out." Like, yeah, maybe if we get some time, we'll
Yeah.
put it out.
The LAPD is just the most worthless,
It's a fucking
like,
joke.
multi-million-dollar body of like organization in the history of the world. And I said this the other night. It's like it's like the police academy for LA. Like, all right, day 1, don't help the citizens. Day 2,
Yeah.
assault protesters. Day 3, graduation. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten so many tickets for just like nonsense or like parking tickets and stuff.
There's
Like,
no things to them. Like, we went to
Hollywood. Boulevard.
Hollywood.
It's terrible there.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like talking about the time and stuff. I'm like, are they gonna take you? He was like, yeah, they're very strict with that. I'm like, all of this shit that's
Yeah.
going on in this fucking city.
Dude,
They
I
care about
got
parking tickets.
I got like $100 and something ticket for literally. I was probably 3 minutes past the time it expired. It was easily less than 10. And there's like a guy living next to my car.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They're doing it on the street.
where's this guy's ticket?
Yeah. Yeah.
well, sir,
He lives here.
He has no money.
Well,
to
on the
give
4
us.
different signs of
Yeah.
the parking thing,
Yeah.
he didn't break any of those.
Yeah,
so-
he's just parked his whole life here on the sidewalk.
Did you pay it?
Actually, you know what? So
That's an L.
my old car was registered to my mom,
Nice.
Oh.
Okay.
who's dead. And I was just like,
I knew that post.
I was like, well, who the fuck they gonna send this to? It's like, no skin off my nuts.
Pat has a couple like really funny jokes about Mary Pat, but they're so depressing.
So harsh.
He has one about like going to a laundromat, and it's like the laundromat's like best day ever or something. and you're like, my mom's dead. And like, her funeral was a better day than me going to a fucking laundry. Best day ever? What are you fucking nuts? I'm doing my clothes around strangers. Best day ever.
That was very funny.
Like, let's get some fucking food. You guys hungry?
Yeah, I can eat.
Yeah. Well, there's nuts.
Any good place around? Fucking nuts, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, there's food trucks around here.
Really?
There's usually some taco trucks around here.
Oh, dude, I would fuck up some tacos.
Cash only though.
I got cash.
There, cash.
What-
They
what's
got
the-
You ever been to Barcade? Is it around here?
Yeah,
it's
it's over in
on-
York.
It's on New
Yeah.
York, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
is that good?
It's a fun place. You like playing arcade games? Get drunk?
Oh, Barcade. I am.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm not paying this shit. Go fuck yourself. Go track down my dead mom. Hit her up for it. I'll tell you where her ashes are. See if she pays you.
Try to get $125 out of the urn.
That's the end of the episode. We're gonna end on that. That's so, I saw where you go with that. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Don't worry, I'll say it for you.
I'm gonna let him roll with it. The car was registered to my mom. Okay.
Anyone who knows me knows where this is going. How dead is she?
Although I do love talking about your dead mom. So the last time,
Oh my god, guys. Jesus.
hey, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing.
Oh, dude. Wait, let me whisper this to Pat just to gauge his.
Okay.
Oh god, I mean, yeah, listen. Oh my god. Tell him.
So we have just such a sick sense of humor, Pat and I,
Yeah,
as you can tell,
yeah.
and so our really good friends. Our really good
One of our
friend,
best friends growing up.
one of our best friends growing up,
Oh, I grew up with you guys.
Rob.
overdosed to Castro.
Oh, yeah.
And there'll be times where we're just like sitting down and we'll be thinking about like football or high school and stuff, and I don't know what it is, but like we'll be like reminiscing about like high school, and then we'll just like one of us will say, "So Rob's dead." We'll just like start crying about and
Sorry to your dead friend.
We grew up with this guy. He was our friend.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
He was our friend.
I met Rob when I was 2.
He was our friend.
and Rob will like he always used to say like oh, I'm so ogred, which is like another word for saying like he's tired, and we'll be like he's really ogred right now.
Talk about ogre.
Dude,
Like, you think
that
when
was our friend.
you think when he was overdosing right before he died? I'm so ogre.
Jesus Christ, guys. That was our friend.
Yeah.
We grew up with him.
Oh yeah, big
I
time.
know.
Oh, my God.
I miss him.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Great guy. But it's like, dude, if you can't fucking, dude. I mean, like, listen, is it healthy? No, I should definitely talk to somebody. But
Yeah.
What, do you overdose on?
heroin.
Heroin, yeah.
Heroin.
Yeah, but it's like you can't laugh about
Good,
this
good
shit.
overdosing drug.
It's like, what do you? I mean, listen,
You're gonna overdose.
it's a great overdose.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can't, I mean,
I've heard
I
it's
don't
like orgasming 1,000 times.
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure. I mean,
Dying.
they call it
Dying.
heroin for a reason. I'm sure.
No, heroin.
know. Oh, yeah.
Not to send you on your way to go do it, but I've heard it's like the greatest
Yeah,
thing.
Well, I have repeatedly said, like, if I was the last person on Earth, like, you ever had that conversation? Like, if you were the last person on Earth, what would you do? It was like
Heroin.
just so much heroin. Like,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of
The
heroin.
last person on Earth,
But why wouldn't I do heroin? I don't have to suck anyone's dick for it.
I would.
No.
Yeah,
Imagine doing heroin and it didn't ruin your life.
sure. I mean, it would end life, but
Yeah, but it's all relative though. I mean, it's like
yeah, relative to
it'll
the end
ruin
of the
it'll
human
ruin your
species.
relationships, but it's just kind of like, well, you know.
There's no one left.
No.
What am I going to get kicked out of my apartment because I can't pay the rent anymore?
No.
To my
No,
landlord who's
yeah,
gone?
I guess.
Get fired because you're not
Sure.
showing up to work.
Yeah.
If you're the last person on Earth, yeah, I guess you should do heroin.
Oh, you do
That-
so much heroin.
I could say that. Right? Is that controversial?
Yeah.
I've been saying it for 3 years.
Okay, we'll cut that out. We'll cut that out.
There's a.
Rob is dead. Well,
We're like sitting like watching a movie. I'm like, hey, Rob's dead.
Didn't Norm have a joke like that where he's
Christ,
talking about how
guys.
like Bill Cosby, like he was a huge fan of Bill Cosby. This was before all the rapey stuff, but he's like, and he met Bill Cosby. He's I was such a big fan of yours when I was a kid. My dad loves you. He's oh hey, give me your dad's number. I'll give him a call. He's oh that's super sweet. So I gave. But I remember that my dad's dead. So but he was so earnest. So I gave him just a bunch of random numbers. And then like a few weeks later, I got a call from Bill Cosby. He goes, "Hey, I called the number, and it wasn't your father." He goes, "Are you sure?"
Dude, one of my favorite Norm jokes, and like I'm gonna tell like a condensed version of it because the original is like 3 minutes long.
yeah.
He's like, so I met my neighbor.
Yeah, seltzer.
This guy,
I'm good, thanks.
this guy just moved in next door, and I.
Give Vinny something.
I'm good.
No, give Vinny something.
I go, oh, you're the new neighbor. He's like, oh yeah. It's like, so what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm a professor of logic down at the university. You heard this before?
No.
Oh, he's like,
keep going.
and I go, what's professor of logic? He's like, well, it's kind of hard to explain. It's easier if I just tell you. Basically, for instance, so you have a dog? And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, oh, so if you have a dog, you probably have a dog house, right? Yeah, I do. If you have a dog, you probably have a family, right? He's like, yeah, I do. So if you have a family, you have a wife, right? Yeah. So if you have a wife, I can assume that you're a heterosexual male. And he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, that's kind of what I do. He's like, oh, yeah, cool. So I go to the bus stop, I see my other neighbor, and I'm like, hey, what's going on, Bill? And I see I just met our other neighbor, John. He's like, oh, really? Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to that guy. He's like, what's his deal? Well, John's a professor of logic down at the university. And he goes, what's a professor of logic? He's like, well, it's kind of hard to explain. I'll tell you. I'll just explain it to you. Do you have a dog? And he goes, no, I don't. And he goes, oh, you must be a homosexual then.
Norm's jokes about like Hitler and Nazis and the Holocaust were like stuff like he'd be like, the more I learn about that dork Hitler, the more I don't like him.
But last time we were on this podcast, first time.
On our podcast?
Yeah.
First time, last time.
We you introduced us basically because we've known you forever to Joe, and that turned into us
Very fruitful.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about the pilot.
filming our little short, little proof of concept.
So that was based on a true story that happened to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, the short is unfortunately somewhat autobiographical. So
But how you gave the embarrassing part that happened to you, you gave it to Pat, though.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
You split it.
No, yeah.
I also did it though.
Yeah. So
I did the same thing like 3 weeks later.
After college, me and Pat were like going out in our hometown, which is just a fucking ghost town. And I got trashed one night, and I come home, I'm blackout drunk, and I just order a Fleshlight online. And I wake up and I drink my coffee, and I see the email. It's like one pink mouth will be emailed to you in 4 to 6 business days. So like 4 days later, it's like this like brown like undescript box gets shipped to me. My mom's like, "What's in the mail?" I'm like, "Oh, just some books from college. Like I left them there. Somebody mailed them back to me." She's like, "You didn't have any books in college." I'm like, "Mom, just fuck off." And so I go upstairs and I like literally, I'm not sure if you've ever had a Fleshlight, but so I open this box up and there's a pamphlet. It comes with lube. It's a Fleshlight, and I open my laptop. I put the lube in the Fleshlight, and before I can even click open the browser, I just like slide this thing on, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, and I just like blow immediately without even opening a web browser up. So for months, I'm just like putting miles on this thing, just like locked in my room, just going to town. And it's fucked up because, like, although it does feel great, you have to clean it.
It's so much work.
So you have to, like, clean it and then, like, run to the bathroom and wash it out in the sink. And then, like, run back and, like, I, like, wrapped it in a towel so it could air dry. So I'm, like, putting miles in this thing for a couple months. And then one day I come back from New York City and I'm, like, hungover. from partying, and I'm laying on the couch, and like both my parents come into the living room, and they're like, "We need to talk," and I'm like, "Oh shit, Grandma's dead." Like, they're like, "No, no, she's fine." The dog chewed up a fucking vagina in your room. I'm like, first off, it's a pink mouth. And second off, what? And my mom's like, why can't you just jerk off like a normal person? It's like, buy props? And I go upstairs, and the thing is just destroyed by my dog. And so I'm like, yeah, let's just... So I'm like, this is definitely...
Wait, so your mom knew that you were jerking off?
What? Now she did.
I mean, she knew I would jerk off. I mean, dude, I've been caught jerking off so many times.
Like in flagrante, like in the act.
Both. I've been caught.
Christ,
I've been
man.
caught.
How?
Because I like risky jerks. Like sometimes, sometimes, like for instance, I'll jerk off at any moment I can find. One time it was a Saturday afternoon, 3:00. Everyone's in the house, and I'm scrolling through HBO, and and I'm also dyslexic, and I saw just like gasm, and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? So I pull my pants down, turn it on, and it's like Dane Cook. It was his torgasm. I just saw gasm. And I'm like,
Torgasm.
and it's like Dane Cook going like, but like and like one time it was like a snow day or something. And I was home by myself, and I go I didn't like really go on porn websites just yet. I was like jerking off to like pictures and stuff. I remember going online. I'm like, listen. I was in my dad's office. I'm like, doing an office jerk might be a little risky.
Yeah.
So let me just go online, print off some pictures and keep them in my own little. So I print off a picture.
What website?
I just Googled. I'm just like big tits.
Like
big naked
Nick
tits.
And I would do like boobs.com.
Oh yeah, like something like that.
89.com.
89.com.
Just a bunch of a minute and a half videos.
Yes.
89.com.
So I go.
89.com?
No, I never.
Oh,
okay.
dude, do it tonight. It's great.
Okay.
Still exists?
I'll do it right now.
Or was it like homestarrunner.net?
That's very late 2000.
So I go on my dad's computer and I print out a picture of like some chick's ass, right? And I print it out. And it doesn't print. And I'm like, okay, maybe the picture's like fucked up. So I go to different pictures, like some chick like sucking some dick. So I'm like, let me print this out. It doesn't print. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Maybe it's just that these pictures like just don't print because like it's like sexual content.
Yeah.
So I go to a third picture, like some chick's like pussy or whatever. I print that out, and it doesn't print. And I'm like, maybe like there's like some kind of like thing on the computer that if it's like a sexual content,
right,
it won't print out, right? Anyway, fast forward 4 hours. My dad comes home from work, goes into his office, turns on the printer, and 3 pictures just print out. I'm like, and my dad's like,
oh my god,
what the fuck is this? And my mom's like she's like cooking dinner. What? And I'm like, he's like some fucking like a bunch of like porn just like printed out of the printer, and mom's like, Vinnie! I'm like, what? And she's like, did you print that porn? And I'm like, no. My dad's like, well, they're here. Do you want them? And I'm like, yes.
Well, I'll take them.
Schmeagol and like that.
And then one time, me and my 2 brothers are playing basketball at the YMCA. We come back and like we're gonna like shower real quick and then like get like a little brotherly like meal, and I'm like third to shower, so I'm like, oh, I can definitely fucking squeeze one off real quick.
Yeah, snap one off.
And so I'm on like, remember UJizz?
Oh yeah.
So UJizz, the downfall of UJizz is you go on their main site, you click on a video, and a totally new screen would pop up. So there'd be 2 screens.
Sure.
So I'm like at my desk and like I'm doing my thing, and Derek knocks on the thing, and I click out of this thing. And as I click out of it, I scoot under, so he can't see me. But I forget the second screen, and I'm talking to him like, "Oh yeah." So I'm gonna shower, and then I'm gonna go there. And he's just like, and he points to the screen I'm like, and it was the original screen up, and now you see them clearly naked.
Girls.
And I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm jerking off. He's like, all right.
Yeah, man, being
But that was so smooth. Like clicked and like rolled under.
Call with porn was so like my mom caught me, not in the act, but like just because I didn't know how to delete history. Yeah, like as
oh yeah,
like as a fucking kid, and it was just so fucking awkward. I remember I was playing. The first time it's ever happened. So like my mom was in tech, so we had like lots of computers and shit in my house.
Shit.
We had like lots of computers and shit in my house, so it was really fun growing up because I had like my cousin over, I had Nick over, and we played like Warcraft and GameCube and N64, whatever, like PS2, everything. It was like kind of rotate around, but that also meant that she was like really good with computers and shit. And she caught me, and I remember I was sitting there, like the computer's back, like so I'm sitting in the chair, the computer's back there, and I'm sitting there playing college football, like NCAA, whatever. Okay. And she's like, Ben, what's badtushy.com? Oh, fuck. I remember I'm playing, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to beat Virginia Tech, but this sucks. And like, I had to be like, Nick and I were just like, I totally fucking threw Nick under the bus. They got nothing to do with it. I was jerking off. And I was like, oh, we were just like bored and like looking shit up. And no, I was just jerking off to like cheerleader porn and stuff.
Now, let me ask you guys, in your formative years, what did you come into?
Well, there's a gigantic progression because
I'm talking the beginning of your career.
I couldn't come.
Do you want to hear?
Do you
want to hear? I have a good story actually about the first time I
A
jerked
bat
off.
mitzvah beanie baby.
the same one every time?
Yeah.
I had a towel. So we had like this, like our little computer office that I would sneak into at night and jerk off in. And I had
which one?
The room that's like right next to where our front door is. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Oh yes. Yeah,
But there's like this little like small little space where all the wires are, and I had this towel that I just hid back there, and then I swear to God, I must have jerked off into this thing for 3 years.
Oh my God, dude.
Right.
But,
So this thing's haunted by
Dude.
your cum.
I mean, I swear, I used to like pull this thing out, and it was like stiff. Like you could have beat somebody with it. It was so hard. You could stand it up, and it would stand straight up.
You would like cut your dick by trying it.
Oh yeah, and it was all like kind of dyed brown, like a yellowish brown.
Oh,
It turned to vinegar.
Yeah,
by
like
the time.
I swear to God, it could stand up by
So,
itself.
like, did someone with pneumonia use it as a blood
The first time I jerked off was by accident, and it was to Three's Company.
Oh, dude,
I was like,
got hard all
I was like
the time
11,
from that show.
dude. I'm not even kidding. I was like 11 years old, like 11, 12 years old, and I was in my pull-out bed. Like we used to fucking pull out the bed in the basement, and like I had this big TV. We were talking about this recently. This big TV that you had to load. Like you turned it on, you had to like wait 5 minutes to load it. And I was like in there. I was like 11, 12 years old, and I used to watch Three's Company all the time, like just to enjoy the program. I used to watch it, and then all of a sudden I become this age, and Suzanne Summers is blonde with tits
So
and stuff,
hot,
and
so hot.
and it's like Janet, what's the name? Not Janet. That's my mom's name. That. Cut. We'll cut that.
No, we're not.
My mom walks in,
leaving
looking
it.
all fucking hot. And shit.
that might. I forget. But anyway, we had this blanket, and I remember just like discovering like, oh, this feels fucking good. It feels fucking good to like touch myself to this, right? And I end up just like touching myself to the point of cum, and I come in my pants. I thought I was sick.
How old were you?
Like 11.
That's a pretty early come.
And I was like, oh my God, like I'm sick, like I'm a disgusting person, like I had so much shame that I thought like I had to see a doctor because I like came all over this blanket.
This was in lunch meat, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yes, that's Pat read one of my books. This is very,
other than the newest one I haven't read yet. I read all your books.
Yes, thank you, Pat. And this is very much. Lunch Meat is the most semi-autobiographical.
It was so fun reading that and being like, I fucking know this guy. It's like all the people you wrote about, I was like, I know fucking who you wrote.
Yes.
I was texting at one point, like, dude, tell me who this character is.
That part very much is, that part, because it's just me, very much is real, where like, I accidentally jerked off for the first time. Like, I did no intention. I was like, oh, this feels fucking nice. Like, and then I just came and I was like, ah, what happened? What did I do to myself? What is this?
Dude, I do remember my when I was like really young. I'm talking like probably 6. My dad caught me like hoarding like the Victoria's Secret catalog.
I used to take
And I was
the-
like,
I used to take-
when I tickle myself and look at this catalog, it's really
I
great.
used to take I used to take my brother's. I used to take the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. I remember but I would jerk like I didn't know how to jerk off yet, so I would just like, is this my dick? I was like, squeeze it like really hard, like not at like the bait, like not at the tip or anything, just like really hard. I'm like, this isn't working. It's like really like right at just the whole thing. I don't know.
I just think
I hadn't learned yet.
I remember the first time it happened. So it was after like my, I think like 12th or 13th birthday.
Yeah.
I'm at Mikey Tomaso's house, and like we all went to like this birthday party, like me and Mikey's birthday party, because we're like 2 days apart.
Yeah.
So there's like there's like 5 or 6 of us in the basement. We had just slept over at his house, and I wake up, I'm on the couch, we're all just like kind of like screwing around, and I'm like, my fucking like dick is hard, and I'm like, what the hell is this? So I kind of just like start like playing with it and stuff, and like I keep doing it more. I'm like, wow, this feels fucking great. And all of a sudden, I just start jerking off, and like no one like even notices because it's like 6 of us. We're all just like doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And then I finish, and I'm like, guys, if you get your dick hard,
Let me tell you something.
And-
Well, it wasn't
This-
fucking fair. Like I was old for my grade, so like I didn't know. Like I didn't learn that shit yet.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I was a fucking pioneer, dude. They call me Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, but do you remember hearing the term jerking off and be like, what is this?
Yeah.
What are you guys
I
talking
remember
about?
people talking about jerking off and dicks and stuff, and I was like I felt so innocent. I was like, I think I did that by accident once. And
I remember, was it the variety show in middle school?
yeah, the variety
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
the variety show?
Yeah.
David Westlake came over to my house, and before we went to the variety show, he's like, "Hey, dude, wanna watch
Very
some
hot
porn?"
sister.
And I go, "Very hot sister."
Hannah, yeah.
Hannah Westlake, fucking
Very hot sisters.
yes. Actually, I don't know the younger one,
Sisters.
but Hannah Westlake is fucking hot as shit.
Who's the other eyes?
She's younger than us.
Oh, really?
Legal.
But anyway, he's like, "Hey, you want to watch some porn?" And I'm like, "What's porn?" He's like, "Oh, dude, like it's like chicks and like they're eating pussy and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, you eat pussy?" I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "Stuff comes
What
out
else
of it."
can you do with pussy?
He's like, "Stuff comes out of it, and like you just fucking eat it." I think. I'm like, "Shit." So we go on my dad's fucking office computer, and we go to like some trash website,
Yeah.
and as soon as we get on there, I'm not even kidding, hundreds of pop-ups come up. Hundreds. Like, the X's become infinite. And there's infinite amount of outlines. It becomes a flip book of pop-ups. And I start freaking out. And he goes, "This has never happened to me before." And my mom is
This is a really
downstairs.
blonde kid, right?
Yeah.
that-
Super,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this.
And
Very
I
early.
am fucking
Yeah.
freaking out, and that there's chicks eating pussy, and I'm like, what are they doing? What's in there that they're eating? And I'm like, dude, you need to fucking take care of this. I'm gonna distract my mom. And I go downstairs. My mom's like, "Where's David?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's upstairs. He's calling his mom. Don't go up there." And she's like, she knew something weird was going on. She's like, "Okay." So I come up 15 minutes later. He's standing up with the mouse going like clicking out. And I walk in. He's like, "I'm almost done." I keep walking out.
Dude, do you remember having like jerk off sleepovers when you were like middle school?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember
No.
my most vivid one was me, Kyle, and Bo Sieg in my basement.
Let's be careful with names, guys.
Whatever.
It's all, we're not like committing crimes. Just
Yeah.
touching ourselves.
And we were like, all right, we gotta set up the pillows over here so we can't see each other. But we're all just sitting next to each other and jerking off.
Yes.
And,
Oh my
and
God.
it took me so much longer to come. The two of them were like, let's go, fucking finish. Why would he toast the strudels?
What were you jerk off to?
Like HBO porn.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
I
me-
remember like Will Bonham and I, we would like put on HBO and like put on Sex and the City.
Were you
It was,
and
like,
who?
hope for Will Bonham.
Fuck yeah.
We like be like, oh tits, there's tits.
You gotta go on demand, you retard.
Yeah, well, this was back in the day. This is before your time. I'm like,
You're a year
older
old.
than us.
This was the same time.
It's the same
Yeah.
time.
Me, Kyle, and Bo were jerking off in my
We
basement
would-
while you
we-
and Will were watching Sex in the City.
yeah,
All right, we were leagues
would
ahead of
we
you.
would also watch porn on like the big fucking like big.
Yeah, the
Dude,
box.
Yeah,
one of
the
the
big box.
one of the best nights ever was me and Mikey. We like, went out to like some like in like Millburn, went out whatever like
Yeah.
with like Starbucks or something, like hung out
Yeah,
with some girls.
downtown. Yeah.
Came back, and we're probably definitely middle school.
Yeah. Hung out next to the deli and watching Lenny and Jose fight each other.
Yeah, definitely middle school. And my dad had like a gig in the city. He played in the band. My mom was asleep. He's in the city. It's like 12 o'clock, and me and Mike, you're like, dude, let's go into your dad's liquor cabinet. And like, you know, my dad's liquor cabinet and get some fucking booze. So my dad had like a cheap bottle of vodka, like an alcoholic uncle brought over. Like, hey Dave, when I come over, I'm drinking this pop off, you know. So we get vodka.
Is that John, by the way?
Yeah. We get vodka and we get like 2 Budweisers.
Yeah.
So we have like maybe 3. We have a Budweiser and a half each, and like probably like a shot of vodka. We're fucking plastered, and we're watching the new Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where like this like chick just like has like big tits. Yeah. Like not even doing it. She's just being a girl and she has like tits. Yeah. And me and Mikey
just existing.
Yeah, me and Mikey are both just like pause it and like he just like pause this chick in a chocolate factory like. That's the freeze frame, just like her being a person. Like, and we're both just like perfect. And we're just jerking off, drinking
next to
vodka.
each other?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You set up barriers, right?
Yeah, no. He's in a sleeping bag, and I'm behind him, so I can't see him, and he can't see me.
Well,
and,
you can see him.
And like we're just both.
He can't see his dick.
We're both just like jerking off, like sipping like vodka. And just like jerking off.
See, there's something you have to deal with though, but like. My dad, I'm not making any accusations here. It was on the news or whatever. My dad would always be like, hey, so-and-so, shake his hand and look him in the eye. And you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Like there's certain parents, let's just say, who happen to have Italian last names, who would be like, hey.
I thought we were talking about jerking off still.
No. We're talking about mafia.
Fuck's this going?
We're talking about mafia stuff. Be like, hey.
Yeah.
Always be respectful of that. My dad literally would say that to me. He's like, hey, look him in the eye, shake his hand.
Yeah. Well, like Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Right. Yeah.
But anyway, man, I mean, just like the whole, I mean, listen, being a girl, I guarantee, not like, fucking, what's the word? Pander or whatever, or like, being a girl most likely is so much harder than being a guy.
It is.
Sure, yeah.
So much harder.
Right.
But
in some situations.
Going through puberty as a guy, it is so distracting.
Yeah.
It is so distracting.
Dude, I tell this, teenage boys, they're just constantly fucking fighting boners. They're just give them so much. My girlfriend's sister is a...
And you got nothing to do with it.
Is like a middle school... Actually, coincidentally, she works in Milburn. Middle school biology as cut the boys a break. They're going through some shit right now.
They have so many
books,
boners.
just the fucking books in front. I'd walk with a book in front of me. Talk that shit.
It's 8 years of boners that no one will touch.
Yeah.
8 years.
However long it takes. I don't know.
I was a late bloomer, man.
I would say from 11 to probably 16.
11, I was accidentally jerking off.
Yeah.
Middle school were random boners.
Yeah, I'm saying
high school. Yeah,
it's at least 5 years of boners that just no one but you will touch.
Dude,
you're like, someone please fucking touch it.
Dude, there was. I mean, I won't say her name. It's not a big deal, but I just want to say her name. Just in case she wants.
If I figure out who it is, I'm gonna say her name.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
All right, fine. I was dating Lauren A.
No, say it.
It's not a big deal at all.
I remember that she bought you a Jake Plummer jersey.
That's right.
On the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Nice.
And she had just the best ass in middle school. Literally the entire middle school, she had the best ass.
She did.
And I was dating her for a little bit, and there's one point we're in the library. I will always remember this.
I will cut that.
And
we're gonna cut a lot of stuff out of this one.
No,
No,
we don't cut it.
Wait,
no. This isn't a big
When
deal
you
at all.
recall things like this, is it almost like pedophilia?
What? No. Not even close. I was a kid.
Yeah.
But you're thinking about touching a child's butt.
As a child.
You see where I'm coming from here?
Right, sure. No, it's not better.
I'm gonna say no.
You just made a very innocent.
I'm gonna say no because this is my podcast.
Juvenile.
I'm gonna say no because I'm hosting this podcast.
And I remember
the anti-pedophilia podcast.
I'm not getting hard
We're not
now.
reptiles.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. But we were in the library, and she's like, "How did my ass look in these jeans?" And I'm like, it looks great, but I don't know if it feels great. And she goes, well, you should feel it. And I feel her ass, and I remember, like, instantly, as if, like, taking a balloon going, I touch it, my thing goes, it just, like, literally gets hard immediately. I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
I can't picture her. I don't know why. I was getting confused with such and such. It's a different last name.
Just a sea of
Mulberg.
Yeah. And I remember just, like not even knowing what to do with, like, this, like, hard penis. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in school, like...
That's so much of your life.
And then one time in middle school, I got hard, and I asked to go to the bathroom, and, like, I had the fucking, like, hall pass with me, and I'm, like, marching to the bathroom, and I, like...
Hey. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you do, sorry.
What's going on?
What's up, Zach?
Boys,
How you doing?
how we doing?
Wanna join
How's
us?
it going, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Pat,
You want
good
a
to see
cigar?
It's been a while. Ooh, that is tempting. I don't know if I can do a whole stick. You
Come
got
on.
yours?
Nope.
I might stick to the babies first, and then I might graduate here.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you guys recording right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to grab a chair? I'll just put it
Tell,
right there.
tell me more
Edit this
about your
out. I did
12-year-old
not give my
cock.
consent.
You're standing right in front of the camera.
But I'm going to throw it out there. One of my favorite Twitter accounts in Los Angeles right here. Zach
Yeah?
Vile.
Oh, is that?
Yes.
Nice.
He's okay.
100%.
He's all right.
Right answer.
Big
Nice,
fan.
dude.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think I do follow you on Twitter,
I got put in Twitter jail last night.
Really?
I got out. Yeah, so here's the
Well,
thing.
you love to shitpost.
Thank you. I do love shit post.
You want
I
anything
got
to do?
I got put in Twitter jail because apparently if you tell someone to kill themselves, you get put in.
Oh my
but it was
God.
no, but
Dude,
it was
You're turning into a Fox News dad.
no,
Yeah.
dude. It was like a follower. It was the context was everyone was going down.
The concept
like,
was like, I
how-
think you should kill yourself.
how to stop the spread, and it was a joke. It was like vaccine stop the spread, booster stop the spread, 2 boosters, right? And I was like, kill yourself, stop the spread. Boom, Twitter jail.
I mean, that's
That's-
immediately.
That is a good
Yes.
joke.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
Also,
that's
quality
funny.
joke.
That's
That's
it's
a quality
funny.
joke.
It was someone who follows me. It wasn't like I wasn't actually telling them to go kill themselves. I'm very much against that.
Well,
Unless
I
you
covered
want
for you.
to.
I covered for you, though. I
No,
just
you
wanted
didn't
to-
cover for me at all. You
Twitter,
did the
yeah.
opposite of covering for me.
To
You
who?
said
Fucking Tim Pool?
Also, how persuasive did it
you didn't cover for me at
Yeah.
all.
Jack
Let's say
Dorsey?
kill yourself, and someone's like, you know what? I wasn't gonna, but
Yeah.
But like it was, yeah, it was like it was a joke. It
really
was like
bandana,
to
makes a
stop
lot
the
of sense.
spread. To stop the spread, you should kill yourself because that would stop the
It would,
spread.
be,
And
it would be effective.
yes, it's first of all, it's scientifically viable.
Yeah.
Second of all, I was drinking, and those
We're getting kicked off
shouldn't
Twitter
count.
for facts now?
Yeah,
Twitter should know.
yeah, Twitter, like those tweets shouldn't count if you're drinking. And
Well, our sketch we just did.
I'm back though,
on-
by the way.
Our
Thank
sketch on
God.
TikTok we just did got taken down, or it got muted because the sketch is like a very like satirical like news anchor thing, and like one of the things like at the end
That's
of
the camera, dude.
there you go.
Right in front of it.
At the end,
Didn't even see
I'm
that.
just like, and I'm just gonna kill myself, and like everyone
Oh.
starts like laughing, and
Yeah.
the TikTok took it down because I
Yeah.
breached their fucking.
No, they'd much rather have 17-year-olds dancing with their fucking tits out.
Yeah,
yeah.
Peel
It's
it
like,
on there,
yeah,
usually-
we have ISIS beheading journalists on which, first of all,
Quality content.
I'm okay with. but
Well, we should respect them like veterans, though.
I'm okay with most. Okay, let me hedge. Most journalists, I'm okay with. I don't
Yeah.
want to use a passive voice here. So ISIS, I'm okay with ISIS beheading most journalists.
Okay.
But I don't think that it's equivalent to telling
Really
someone
walking us
to
back here, you
become
coward.
I did a good job. Well, okay, we'll cut that. We'll cut that. We'll cut,
Yeah.
We'll cut that.
15 years down the line, when I get a job at entertainment, I do not consent to this conversation.
Well,
What's funny is like on Twitter,
we'll
like
cut that.
somebody will share a stat and says like men commit suicide 3 times more often, and then there's always a feminist who says good, and it's like but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Well,
if you
because,
make it
like-
as a joke.
Because Twitter leans so far left
Yeah.
that it's not proportionate in like what is said by each party or whatever. I mean, it was like when like Rogan had all those like Twitter execs on,
Yeah.
and then also that
Tim Pool.
right wing.
Yeah.
I think he's a
That guy's not
journalist.
even right wing. He's just a guy.
Who?
Tim Pool was
just-
pretty left wing.
He's just a guy in a
Tim
beanie.
Pool is
Yeah.
very left wing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but
Tim Pool is
he's
super
perceived
left-wing.
as right wing
He's
for some
perceived
reason.
as right-wing.
Just like
just
Rogan.
because you're against the fucking progressive narrative. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you're,
exactly,
You're
yeah.
right wing.
You're
No,
alt-right.
most of these people are fucking left wing. Like, I came from a pretty fucking left wing area.
Yeah.
I still have like
Yeah.
a lot of left wing proclivities, and it's just like, sorry, I'm against like the government telling you to do fucking everything, and like this woke bullshit. Like, if that's right wing, then sure, I'm right wing, but I don't consider myself right wing at all.
Right.
I don't consider myself anything.
Yeah.
I don't even consider myself a human. But that's like besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll cut that. Okay, cut that.
Ben said cut that
Hey,
like
if you want,
15
uh,
times.
The last
the
episode, I'm
white
telling cut
chair.
that a lot.
You want to put it like in between there?
Oh, I just don't want to blow cigarette smoke.
Wait, I
Oh no,
Oh, you're
we've
good,
been
sit down,
smoking
you're
the whole
good.
time.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
just sitting over here
yeah,
smoking
yeah.
sticks.
He's just smoking cigars the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we're good. I'm already covered in smoke.
This is actually the second Stop the Spread movement. There was one a few years ago about manspreading.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what my
Sure.
favorite thing to response to manspreading ever was? Well, listen, I don't need someone who's never had a penis to tell me what it's like
Right.
to be in my body.
Right.
In that voice, not me.
Yes.
Did you see that art exhibit? Or it was some chick at some like European art college. She made a chair where like the sides were pointed inward, so it forced
Oh,
men
yeah.
to like scrunch their nuts together. But,
It's
like,
torture.
Yeah, and it was featured on some big channel, but they were like, oh, like this chair is designed to stop manspreading. But it was like played completely serious, and so it was like women who were like manspreading, and then men who were like doing like the
It's like
church
we have
lady
other
stance.
things
But it's
going
like-
on
yeah.
that are uncomfortable. Like,
Right.
why is that a big deal?
So that's why I always like to say, like, listen,
I
I don't
don't
need
get
someone
it.
who's never had a penis
Right,
to tell me how
Regardless
it.
of where you stand, awful chair.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stupid design.
Yeah.
Regardless of
Fitted
what's
by
between your
architects.
legs,
Yeah.
very uncomfortable.
No one wants to sit there.
Yeah. But it's just like when they get pissed off about men on buses or trains or whatever, manspreading. It's like, yeah, well, ladies, you carry purses around, so I'm not nagging you about
That's
that.
true.
Like,
That's a good point.
Yeah, and then also is the mansplaining.
Wow.
I got accused of mansplaining. I was doing a private party. I was bartending,
Yeah.
and this girl who was passing the trays around was like, "Hey, Vinny, I kind of want to learn how to bartend. Can you teach me?" I go, "Yeah, sure, of course." So she comes over and she's like, "All right, let's make a cocktail." And this lady comes up. She goes, "I'll do a Moscow Mule." I'm like, "Hey, Priscilla, you want to do this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And this is my friend Priscilla. I've known her for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she starts like building it in the shaker tin, and I go, "Oh no, you don't do a Moscow Mule in the shaker tin because there's ginger beer. You can't shake ginger beer because of the
Right,
carbonation.
right.
Just build it in the glass and then like roll it." So I'm like kind of like teaching her how to do this. And I'm like, "All right," and I give it to the lady, and the lady's like, and she walks away, and I'm like,
Big, dude.
"Yeah," and I'm like,
You fucking
like she kind of gave me a
fascist.
dirty look, right? And she's like, "Yeah, it was kind of weird." And then like 15 minutes later, Priscilla comes back over to me and she goes, "So I went over to that lady. I was giving her a fucking cupcake, whatever."
Yeah.
And she goes, "How about that fucking bartender mansplaining how to make a cocktail?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, he was teaching me how to do it because I asked him to." And she's like, "Fuck that. I'm sure your cocktail would have been way better."
Do whatever you want. Who cares about
Don't even put
Yeah.
vodka or ginger beer in.
Yeah, you know, shake and have it explode all over your tits. Who gives a fuck? You're a woman. Your tits can be covered in ginger beer if you want them to.
I vote for that.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. God,
Oh. So you guys made a film?
that's right.
based
Yeah,
on
back to that.
Oh yeah, back to that. We circled back.
Full
We
circle.
got there eventually.
Yeah.
We got to we went through the reptilians,
Long
and
jerking off.
So,
reptilians, and now we're back to your pilot.
so if
Which
I
is
hope
also
you guys
about
make
jerking
some
off.
more of these things, it's just
Also,
me jerking
it
off.
is about jerking off.
Yeah,
Adventures in jerking off and getting caught
If
as
it's-
adults.
exactly. Yeah.
The shame.
Then we need a drink. I'm gonna piss.
I'll take
I'm
it.
good.
What do you need?
I'll take a beer. Whatever you got.
But yeah, well, Ty, when he was doing
Thank you.
the lecture, he
Yeah.
was so funny.
Oh yeah.
I remember there's one where he was lecturing you, and I remember he was talking about like, yo, when I was your age, we just used our hands, and like he gave a grunt, and like I
Yeah.
couldn't find that take. I don't know why they just didn't show up or something, but I wanted to put that grunt where it's just like. He acts like a man. It was like, yeah, we used to build buildings out of our hands, but it's like, yeah.
It may have been on like my side, like
Right.
we're doing like my
Right.
my thing.
Yeah.
Possibly, I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I I would like watch him do stand up a bunch at Fourth Wall.
Yeah.
And I just saw him. And I'm like, man, it would be so funny if, because like like I was saying before the podcast, I'm like, I needed someone to play my parents in this, and I couldn't find a female comic. that could play my mom.
Lack of diversity now.
Yeah. And I'm like, so like I can have like my dad play him or maybe a boyfriend, and it's like, well, it'd be hilarious if like it was a black guy lecturing me, and then it's like, oh, I'll just make my mom's boyfriend black.
Yeah.
And then I saw Ty, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Ty who?
Ty Ship. So
Well,
he's so
let's be honest.
funny.
If you're a female comic, old enough to beat your mom at the fourth wall, you're not funny.
Right.
I'll even go as far as to say if you're at fourth wall.
Well, it turns out I'm not funny.
Sweeping indictment of my entire comedy career.
I know on Brendan Cooney's podcast, he said the health inspector came once to the North Hollywood one.
Was that real? Because he was talking about that the other night.
Yeah, so she came in and she was talking to whoever was running it about, hey, I need to check this out. And the comic on stage was like, hey, lady, shut the fuck up. And she sat down for the entire open mic.
That's great.
Like, who's in charge? And the person in charge was like, I don't know, they just let us do this. Like, they just leave the door open and we come in here. And she's like, interesting.
Yeah, so what are you doing for stand-up now?
What am I doing for stand-up?
Yeah.
Eno Vino, primarily, if you guys been to those
I've never
shows.
done that.
It's a great room.
Wait, is that what's his face?
There's one almost every day of the week.
Okay.
So Justin James does one
Where is it?
at Water Village, right on that main strip. Kayla Esmond and Josh Ogle do one on Wednesdays. There's a Monday one. I think Harpal does it, if you guys know him. There's one Monday through Thursday, and then Saturday afternoon they do one as well.
Cool.
So it's tiny room, but like it's better.
That's good. Yeah.
For a mic, you know.
Yeah,
you don't
totally.
need a fucking arena for a
Yeah.
mic, but that's been good. Offbeat, right down the street, super good. But problem, it kind of blew up. So it's like a lotto. So it used to be you could get up every week. Now it's like 50-50 kind of.
I can't do that. I can't show up to an open mic and not go on stage.
I'm not going to spend $25 on drinks to not get up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to spend my time to not get up.
Yeah, we used to do the lottos all the time. And
I
it just
can't
was like,
do it.
fucking I mean, we like the one infamous night we had was we went to I forget which mic it was. We went there, canceled.
Oh,
And then we went to Robin Hood, and it was like, hey guys, sorry, we've got the mic. We're gonna start like an hour late. And I'm like, okay, we'll get something to eat, and then we'll come back. Get something to eat. We come back. Still haven't started yet. We stay there for like another hour, and we just keep getting bumped, and like people come in. It's like, all right, so let's go to a different mic. That mic wasn't going,
This Hollywood?
and then we eventually just did the 10 o'clock at K-Town at Fourth Wall.
Yeah.
And we like, left our house at like fucking 5:30.
yeah.
The
Did
thing
you
is,
do one
Kiss
set?
or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
the pandemic didn't kill open mics, it killed the good open mics.
Yes.
So we're
Yeah.
left with slotted. And there's some slotted that are okay. Like I saw that you did Big Chillin'.
Big Chillin's fun.
Big Chillin's fun. Big Chillin'
It
kind
can
of
be.
like
Like, yeah.
I've done it twice, and I kind of went into it being like, all right, this is a fucking slotted mic at some guy's house, but they put effort into it.
Yeah.
And it kind of it's fun. It's good to get out there, but half of these are just dog shit.
I did one. It's what's it? Maxie
Maxi Whitrack.
Whitrack. Do you know her? She does one. It's called End of the Road.
Okay.
It's kind of like it's like an invite thing.
That's an apt title.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like pretty small week to week, and it's like literally in the middle of fucking nowhere, just like off like a running path.
Right.
And it was like 12, 15 comics.
Okay.
Fucking awesome. Like everyone was, it was like, it's basically an hour long, so no one's, bored or whatever. Like, you're gonna get in and out.
Yeah.
Do 5 minutes and do it in an hour.
That's the utility of those mics. is-
Exactly. And it was great. Everyone was like super receptive. Like if something worked, you definitely knew.
Yeah.
But also they just weren't gonna like just laugh at everything.
That's the most important thing. Honest feedback, but any feedback.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's what it was. And then what's one I've been meaning to do too? I did Big Chillin'. I think I did it twice. Both times it was a little kind of like dead kind of thing. But the guys who run it are super cool.
Yeah.
I love Roger. Roger's fucking funny.
And then we did Bryson's like a while back.
Bryson Banks.
Bryson
the one in the
Banks.
park.
Yeah.
That's right. And then if you get the best set, you get a
Yeah.
spot on Jam of the Day.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was really cool.
Nice.
It was funny. The one time we did, I only did it once. I've been meaning to go back, but I just hate driving to fucking Hollywood.
Yeah.
The one time we did it, someone was shooting something in the amphitheater, and they had a permit, so he moved it to the baseball field.
Okay.
So we were on the baseball field,
Hell
and the
yeah.
comics were sitting on the bleachers.
Behind a
My
fence.
dad
Behind
can
a
see me
fence.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was actually a really
It
fun night.
ended up being good, but when we showed up, it was 3 of us on a fucking baseball field.
That's the way it goes.
And I was like, guys, are we all gonna? If you have a good set, you get 2 items in the snack bar. You
See,
bomb, you
enough
get
for a
1.
game. It's-
Yeah.
And then eventually, everyone showed up for the mic, and then we had it was the full hour, so it was like the 9 comics, whatever. And then there were, I want to say, like 6 or 7 people that just came to watch, and they stayed for the whole thing.
Which is
so
huge
rare.
for an
It was
open
cool.
mic, 6 or 7.
So Matt Bell told me about. So you know the Elysian Theater just opened up,
No.
like in Los Feliz. But he told me there's a Wednesday mic that's like mixed improv and stand up, and he said there's a fucking crowd there.
Really?
That pays, and every comic gets up in between the improv acts, and they're receptive. And
Because it's a fucking relief.
and he's like,
Yeah.
and he told me, he was like, you should go next week because I have a feeling this is going to blow up soon and it's going to be,
Yeah.
a super long wait or you're not going to get up, but it's brand new. I think last week was their first or second week.
Really? Okay, cool.
So, Elysian Theater, Wednesday night, I think. I'll find out more details and I'll send them to you, but that
Yeah.
one sounds like a slam dunk. Like,
I didn't even realize there was a lot of stand-up out here.
well, Elysian Theater just opened up like a month ago.
Okay.
It's like a new venue, so they do shows there. But the mic on Wednesdays, he said it was like one of the best times he's had at a mic.
Really?
So
When we first moved to Hollywood, what was that place we did?
Pack theater.
The Pack Theater.
Pack is fun.
Dude, there were these
It was
two.
fun for 2
There
weeks.
was these 2 guys. It was a black guy and a white guy, and they ran it, and they were great. Like they would host together. They'd be on stage together,
Yeah.
and
Some good riffs.
dude, they would riff in between. If like it was a super like light, cool mic. I don't think there was a limit on the comics, but like the 2 times we did it with those guys, it was like 10, 15 people, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
Tight little like improv theater,
Yep.
but not like a huge stage, so it was pretty
Yeah.
chill. And then the 3rd time we went there, those guys lost their space or whatever, and it was basically kind of like an alt mic, and we just were not well received.
That's like the worst combination of words. Alt mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get you one even worse.
The
Safe
alt
space mic.
Oh
The
yeah.
alt
jeez.
mic.
A supportive
I did that
mic.
once.
Yeah.
A supportive. Basically, what supportive means is bad.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
bad
I had a family friend in from out of town, and he was like, "Hey, I want to see you do comedy."
Oh,
I was like, "Okay." Oh, I was like, "You know what? There's this mic at Angel City Brewery I've been meaning to go to. It'd be perfect because like I get to do a set, and like not at an open mic. You're at a brewery.
Exactly. How long ago was that?
Oh, like 3 years ago.
Okay. Was that Chris Wallace?
No, it was. I don't even know the guy's
Okay.
name. And we get there, and
You're also assuming his pronoun.
yes, actually, and this
Edit that.
gender fluid
We'll cut
Latinx
that.
gets up.
We'll cut that.
Oh, James, all
Yes.
right.
And immediately
We'll cut
goes,
that.
all right, so guys, this is a safe space open mic. And I turned to my friend, I'm like,
Let's
oh.
fucking leave.
I was like, dude, I'm gonna
Just-
bomb. And I went up there, and I the host cut me off after 2.5 minutes and walked up on
Really?
stage and kicked me off stage.
I would rather
Wait, hold
be-
on. I want to know more about that. What were you saying?
Nothing even. I did a joke about the 3 blind mice.
Oh, is it ableist?
Ableist. It was ableist. And not only did I get kicked off stage,
God damn it.
but
God damn it.
The host then-
This is going over my head. What's the ableist?
that means you're
Ableist,
you're
like,
discriminating against people who are differently abled.
yeah.
Like
disabled.
blind people.
Blind.
Yeah.
People,
Oh
Oh
blind
my
people.
god,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I did the America's Got Talent bit, but I didn't even say retard. I said mentally challenged. I did the PC version of it,
Right.
and I didn't even get to that. part of
Not
it.
good enough.
I got
Not
I got
good
cut
enough.
off before I even got to that. And then the host, not only does he kick me off, he gives like a 5-minute speech about being ableist after I get off stage. And then the guy after me, and the woman who was on before me, she didn't do comedy. She did a poem called "Men Are Garbage."
And she did it all the time.
I gotta ask, was it
Sure.
good?
It's true.
It was. I went up. The best laugh I got was I went up. Was like, I look like that poem is about me.
Well, with ableist, it's like, where's the line?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if you're saying anything at all, that can be ableist.
Exactly.
You can't speak.
Right.
Are you?
Right.
Are you?
I'm a little too dumb to realize like what.
But so I did
What that
I did
is.
literally
I
2.5
don't-
minutes, and then the guy goes up on stage after me and does like 7 to 10. I remember my friend was like, I feel like he's getting a lot more time than me. This is crazy.
Chris D'Elia was talking about something similar. He was on Joe Rogan. And he was talking about how he was doing like a corporate gig, and then before he was gonna go up, he asked the guy because it was kind of like more like an uptight kind of business crowd. And he goes, "Hey, so what are there topics I should not talk about?" I'm like, yeah,
fucking minors.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they're like, oh, just don't make any jokes about like auctions. He goes, auctions? Like, why is that? Like, sure, I don't do jokes about auctions, but why is that seen as bad? Well, slave owning, and this is. It's like, what? Like, how do you make that leap from auction to slave owners?
Auctions a slave.
Yeah,
That's a leap.
yeah, it's a big fucking leap.
Well, it's funny. We did a sober living facility a couple times,
Uh-huh.
and the guy who runs the thing is like, okay, so a lot of these people have had horrible lives. I'm like, yeah, they're all sober.
It's like, I mean, we're comics, so we get it.
Yeah.
It's like, so don't make any jokes about like rape or drugs or like sexual stuff like that. I'm like,
I got 2 minutes.
yeah, I mean, kind of like that's our whole set, and we're both just like, dude, let's just do our material and like just see what happens.
I bet they loved it.
And
They
they
did.
fucking
One of the best crowds
loved
I've
it,
ever been in
dude.
front of.
We've done that show like 2 or 3 times. You get free pizza, fucking wings, and like some real
I'll
blow
tell
in
you
the
what.
bathroom.
One of the best compliments I ever got was at that show. A girl was laughing and clapping so hard she broke her nail.
There you go.
I was like, this is the height of my comedy career. Just chick broke her fake nail.
But yeah, that was a great crowd.
Because how insulting is that to like have gone through all that stuff and then have it be off limits for you to hear
Yeah.
about?
Right.
It's
Oh,
they love
I
it.
lived through it. I don't,
Yeah.
talk to me about it. I
Yeah.
don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
The other funny part about those shows, though, is that like, you're kind of like hanging out before the show, like in the sober living house, and people just walk up to you like, so,
what are you in for?
yeah. And I'm just gonna be like, comedy.
Oh, dude, that's way worse than mine.
Yeah.
I'm doing heroin.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like I mean, it was Bob Hope who, for the most part, was pretty clean, but like he would do jokes in front of wounded soldiers and stuff, and he would go to like the hospitals, and as soon as he would go, he'd be like, "Hey, please don't get up for me."
Yeah.
But it's like that's such a silly, innocent thing. But it's like he would get canceled so fast for doing something
Oh,
like that.
yeah. I mean, all that stuff wouldn't fly.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's completely different. I mean, we were just talking about how, like, even just bring up a topic.
Right.
Not even, like, breaking balls.
Where's
Just
the,
bringing up a
bedroom,
topic.
by the way?
Oh yeah.
just-
So you go to my room there, in the garage, the side where the ice chest is.
Yeah, like, if you think about like your Don Rickles guys, like, I mean, back then it was like comedy was offensive. That was kind of the point of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you want to punch up and you just punch anywhere.
Right,
Doesn't
exactly.
matter, as long as you're punching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, the Friars Club, like, that was basically I mean, that was obviously the inception of roasting.
Right.
But, I mean, it was when, like, I mean, Jesus Christ, like, we're all friends, and we're just joking. Like, these are just
Yeah.
jokes.
Well, like
You know?
back in the 60s, it was like very clean. If you wanted to get on TV, it'd have a very
Yeah.
clean set. But it was, you had 50-50 or 60-40 where you'd have super clean comics, no curse words, no offensive stuff, and then filthy comics.
And then Pryor.
Going for the offensive. Well,
Try.
interesting you brought Pryor because I was going to say, Pryor started stand-up in the late 50s, early 60s. Super clean guy, and it wasn't working.
Same with Colin.
He quit comedy for 10 years.
Jeez.
And when he came back, he had lived a little bit, and he was like, fuck y'all motherfuckers. Like, what's up?
Yeah,
I'm Richard Pryor. Here's some real shit. And that is what fucking catapulted him. Like,
Yeah.
people want to hear that. They don't
Yeah.
want to hear some, like, dressed-up version of your opinion.
Yeah.
And it's funny that the people who you're not supposed to make fun of are the ones who can take those jokes the best.
They
Where it's
want
like,
to be made fun
Yeah.
of because it's inclusive. You know,
Right.
it's like if no one's joking about you, then you are different.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was like watching a Rickles interview, and he said like I would do shows and I'd be like making fun of people, and then there'd be like Asians in the crowd, and they'd be like, you haven't made fun of the Asians yet. Like make fun of us.
Right,
You know?
exactly. It was like just going down the line,
Yeah.
checking boxes.
Right.
I got you guys. I got you guys.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of like rich and powerful friends, and he'd roast the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loved
Dude,
it.
Dean Martin.
Frank Sinatra,
Yeah.
he'd
All of them.
fuck them up, dude.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that debate? It was Jim Norton going up against Lindy West. So Jim Norton, he's kind of a shock jock.
I love Jim Norton.
Is this politically incorrect?
No,
The,
he was
Bill
with like
Maher?
Opie and Anthony.
No,
He's
no,
with
no.
Anthony, and then now he's with Sam Roberts.
No,
And
I'm saying, was this on politically incorrect with
Oh
Bill
no,
Maher?
no, this is on some other random YouTube show that was kind of short lived.
Oh, okay.
But Lindy West, there's that show Shrill, I think.
Yeah.
And it was based on a book. Anyway, Lindy West is the one. She's a chubby feminist, glasses and everything. They were going up against. They had this debate, and he, like, even though he comes from like a more shock jock background, he was super eloquent and had great arguments.
He's very smart.
He's very smart, and like he held back. You think that he would just rip into this chubby feminist, but he was holding. And she was the one getting all freaked out, and she kept talking about how like if you're how dangerous it is for women to go to a comedy show because like it's a bunch of angry men up on stage and they're making jokes about women and rape and this and that, and he's like, yeah, like I can get up on stage and I can make jokes about 9/11. The sickest, most obscene jokes about 9/11. Nobody's going to walk out of that theater going, you know what, 9/11 wasn't that big of a deal. Like, no, like, jokes don't influence people's views on certain topics. And so if I make
It
jokes
either
about...
supports it or goes against it.
Right, exactly. So if I get up on stage and I make jokes about women, like, men aren't going to walk out like, yeah, I'm going to beat my wife tonight. It's like, that's not going to happen. That never happens.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, like, it perpetuates this idea, this negative stereotype. But she's with that group of, like, it's okay to make fun of straight white men. But it's like, it's fine perpetuating negative stereotypes about this group, but you can't do it about this other group. And it's like comedians are like, no, I'm just going to make fun of anything and everything because it's funny.
Like we were talking about the other day, there's a difference between featuring a topic in your act and promoting something. You can draw attention to something, make a joke about it without saying, go do it.
Yeah.
It's cool, you know? And those are often, you know.
Yeah,
we talked about this earlier in the episode. It's gotten like lost, especially in places like LA.
Yeah.
Where like the idea that you can bring up a topic without being like pro that topic has been lost on people.
Well, even if you're pro, like we were talking about, there was a comic, and I forget who it was, but he was doing a college show, and the joke was
gay black men.
Yeah, we were talking about the exact joke. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
it was a progressive joke.
Yeah,
it's like, look at what he's actually saying. That's a great joke, but you hear black guy, and you just like, oh no, no.
Yeah. Well, then also, I mean, I talk about like how I'm Italian and I'm one of the races where I'm white, but like
let him in here.
We're letting ethnics onto the property now. Yeah.
But I'm being Italian is one of the races where you can still just say whatever. Do you know how often I get called Guinea? Yeah. It's like still one of the races where you could just make fun of incessantly.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean that is a term that is actually super offensive, not to Italians, but
to Africans,
to black people.
Yeah.
So they call Italians Guineas because they were like, you're so dark. It's like you're black. Like you're such garbage, you might as well be a black.
Well, it's funny because like 100 years ago, like Irish and Italian people were considered ethnic.
Yeah, they weren't white.
Yeah,
but that's how you know, like the idea of like whiteness or like you're a certain race is outrageous.
Yeah.
Irish people are the whitest people to ever exist.
Yeah.
And at some point in this country, everyone was like, well, they can't be white.
Right.
The Irish?
There's a Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns, the rich guy, he gives it was like a Christmas party at work. He gives somebody an original Joe DiMaggio baseball card. He goes, "Wow, a Joe DiMaggio baseball card." And then Mr. Burns goes, "Yes, apparently they let ethnics into the league."
Yeah,
it's so old.
One of the all-time great TV characters, Mr. Burns.
Oh yeah.
What's up?